Islam, Islam, Islamism. Bismillah, ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First and foremost, I like to rise to my highest heights and give all perfect praise to our Father God Allah, acknowledging our ancestors, known and unknown, recognizing the name and all true and divine prophets, Jesus, Muhammed, Buddha, Confucius, and the last prophet in these days and times, our illustrious Hebrew prophet, Noble Jew Ali, in his first, second, and third form. I would like to remain standing and extend those honors to our National Grand Sheikh, Joel Bratton Bey, all national officials at headquarters in Baltimore, Maryland, all sheiks, sheikesses, deputy sheiks, and deputy sheikesses, and all of our friends, visitors, guests, citizens, students, members, children. I greet you all with Islam. Today's date for the record is February 21st, 2021, according to the Gregorian calendar. And as always, we open with paying homage to our Mother, Father, God, Allah. So can I please have everyone who is able to stand erect, facing towards the east, heels together, toes apart, separated at a 45-degree angle, upper arms parallel to the floor, forearms perpendicular, 5 fingers erect and together on the left, and 2 fingers erect and together on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Ameen. We want to welcome you all to our National Town Hall Educational Forum call being brought to you by the Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America Incorporated, number 13, the Moorish American National Republic, under the guidance and direction of our National Grand Sheikh, Joel Bratton Bey. And I am the moderator for this evening's call. I am Brother Cornelius Sanders Bey, calling out of Lake County, Florida Republic. And I'll be going into our administrative announcements. And the first administrative announcement will be given by myself. On behalf of the Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America Incorporated, number 13, the Moorish American National Republic, I would like to thank the guests that are on this Moorish National Town Hall meeting, and we thank you for joining us this evening. Our prophet Noble Jew Ali founded the ancient Canaanite temple in 1913 in Essex County, New Jersey. Later, in 1916, his missionary work was entitled The Moorish Divine and National Movement. In 1917, he transferred the movement to Cook County, Illinois. In 1925, the temple was called the Moorish Temple of Science. In 1926, the temple was incorporated as a civic organization. In 1927, the temple was unofficially adopted as the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. Our prophet Noble Jew Ali stated that the Negro problem is being solved only as it can, and that is by the Moorish Divine and National Movement. If you have a nation, you must have a free national name in order to be recognized by this nation as an American citizen. After lawfully connecting with the private international law of the Pan American Conference in 1928, the temple's name was changed to the Moorish Science Temple of America. The temple was then incorporated as a religious organization under the Illinois Revised Statutes in Cook County, giving the temple and its members national and international power. During this same period of time, unfaithful members of the Moorish Science Temple of America in Chicago and Detroit conspired to destroy the positive existence of the movement, causing great confusion. This is the reason for the misunderstanding of the national side of the movement amongst all Moorish Americans until this very day. Our prophet Noble Jew Ali stated that Chicago is doomed and Detroit must go down for what they did to I, your prophet. Afterwards, in 1929, our prophet Noble Jew Ali made his transition to the plane of soul. Our purpose of establishing this meeting on Sundays is to properly educate people on what the Negro problem really is and to educate people concerning the national side of the movement of our prophet Noble Jew Ali, so that you may receive a clear understanding of it. Our prophet, subhanAllah, our prophet Noble Jew Ali also stated, "Come all ye Asiatics of America, and hear the truth about your nationality and birthrights, because you are not negroes." In other words, all calling themselves negroes, black people, color folk, Afro-American, Latino, Puerto Rican, Hispanic, or any other such names that delude to slavery, you are not these. Your nationality has been taken away from you, and your birthrights have been stolen from you by way of your original birth certificate, social security card, and your state ID/driver's license, which is why clear color copies, both front and back from these, is required from you when applying for Moorish American citizenship, as you transform from your lower self to your higher self while working towards your actual freedom and becoming free national Moorish American citizens. You have ignorantly contracted into the jurisdiction of the federal U.S. government corporation. Thus, your nationality is United States. You have surrendered your free national state citizenship by registering yourself voluntarily as a beneficiary of the U.S. government corporation by way of your birth certificate, which is an unrevealed trust account instrument placing you in commerce with the federal U.S. Federal U.S. citizens are not citizens at all. They are subjects and property of the District of Columbia. Residents and franchisees of the so-called bankrupt U.S. government corporation under municipal law. The Constitution for the U.S.A., the Bill of Rights, and the 13th Amendment with its 20 sections does not apply to federal U.S. citizens. Federal U.S. citizens are subjects and property under statutory, admiralty, and maritime law, as well as martial law under the undisclosed presumption of an international contract. Federal U.S. citizens have no constitutional protections or unalienable rights. They only have granted privileges by the U.S. government corporation. Legal persons born or naturalized in the federal U.S. were made exclusively by the 14th Amendment after the Civil War. The 14th Amendment was never lawfully ratified and therefore unconstitutional. Our prophet Noble Jew Ali held up the red flag with the five-pointed green star in the center in his right hand. This is our national flag. It is poorly misunderstood as the flag of Morocco. It is properly comprehended as the Moorish flag. He also held up the 48-star flag of the U.S.A. in his left hand. This is our flag of peace, friendship, and commerce within the states of the Union under the Republican form of government in this country. The 50-star flag of the U.S. with the gold fringes around it does not represent free national Moorish American citizens. Social Security benefits and the income tax are voluntary contracts made mandatory for federal government employees and U.S. citizens who receive benefits from the federal government corporation. Asiatics are the aboriginal indigenous inhabitants of America. However, due to the fact that the Asiatics' birthrights have been stolen and we have fallen from the constitutional laws of the government, being placed in a chattel property status because of the reorganization of the U.S. with the New Deal in 1933, the Asiatics are now aliens, not to this country, but to all free national governments. We encourage everyone to become a naturalized Moor and register with the Moorish National Bureau of Vital Statistics in order to become part and parcel of this free national government. In this way, you are under the divine authority of our honorable prophet, Noble Jew Ali, being under the jurisdiction of the Emancipation Proclamations of President Abraham Lincoln, inclusive of the 13th Amendment with its 20 sections, and not under federal jurisdiction, making your identity and your nationality Moorish American. The bankruptcy of the United States is a fraud. The Uniform Commercial Codes administers this fraudulent bankruptcy. So those who undergo the UCC-1 financing statement and its further paperwork applications become a party to this fraud and disconnect themselves from the divine authority of our honorable prophet, Noble Jew Ali, which is the conspiracy of the international banking cartel against us Moorish Americans. Also, having a seat in the United Nations is a trap. This places you under the controls of the cartels of Europe as well. Furthermore, a government that is a democracy is a trick. because this type of government is not of the common people, for the common people, nor by the common people. Educating the masses on these issues in order for the Asiatics to become functionally active is of the utmost importance for the progress and growth of the Moorish Divine and National Movement. For more information, visit our website, www.moorishamericannationalrepublic.com. During this meeting, we would like our guests to remain muted if you are not speaking. This will prevent background noise coming from you as these calls are being recorded. When you want to speak, press the star button twice to unmute your phone and state your name and where you're calling from. You may submit your questions to our email, townhall@moorishamericannationalrepublic.com, so your questions will be answered in the order in which they are received, as the email questions supersede direct questions from the audience. We would like our guests to continue to attend these meetings, and please invite your family members, associates, and friends to attend these meetings. And that will conclude our first administrative announcement. Our next administrative announcement will be coming by way of our National Inaugural Sunday School, and I'll be standing in for Sister Ariana Sanders Bay. The Divine and National Movement of North America Incorporated, number 13, the Moorish American National Republic, expects the presence of all members and invites the public to join us every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for our Moorish Sunday class conference call. Please join us by calling 443-961-4434. Again, the number is 443-961-4434. All Moors currently naturalized through the Moorish American National Republic and who have not already done so are requested to forward an email to manrsundayschool@gmail.com. Again, manrsundayschool@gmail.com. This will confirm your registration and allow you to receive your information packet. Please include the names of all children, their ages, birthdays, and school grade. Also, we are requesting that members send us family pictures for posting on our website. Pictures of Moorish family studying, playing, working, etc., and in unity. This is highly desirable. Please be advised that submission of your photo constitutes your permission to post. To submit your photo, send via email to sundayschool@moorishamericannationalrepublic.com. Again, sundayschool@moorishamericannationalrepublic.com. Again, the Moorish American National Republic Sunday School conference call is at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we invite the public to please join us by calling 443-961-4434. Again, that number is 443-961-4434. We had an inspirational and divine class today. You can listen to today's class at www.moorishamericannationalrepublic.com. Again, you can listen at www.moorishamericannationalrepublic.com. We look forward to exercising our five senses together with you, manifesting guidance for our nation, Islam, and peace. And that will conclude our announcement for our Sunday school conference call. Our next administrative announcement will be coming by way of our Moorish School and Law History Board of Education and be given by our beloved sister Carla Green Eel. Islam, their beloved sister, you can press star and you have the floor.
Islam.
Islam, beloved, trusting all is well with you. Your vibrations is clear, loud and clear. Trusting all is well with you and the family, and you have the floor.
Islam, and thank you much, Brother Cornelius Sanders Bay. Islam family, this is Sister Carla Green Eel from the Massachusetts Commonwealth. I rise to my highest heights and give all perfect praise to the Mother, Father, God of the universe, Allah. I give honor to our ancestors known and unknown, recognizing and naming all true and divine prophets, Jesus, Muhammed, Buddha, Confucius, and the last prophet in these days and times, our illustrious Hebrew prophet, Noble Jew Allah, in his first, second, and third form. extending honors to our National Grand Sheikh, Joe Bratton Bey, all of our national and local officials, all sheikhs, sheikesses, deputy sheikhs, deputy sheikesses, all of our children, students, members, guests, and citizens. I greet you all with Islam. Please remain muted for this very important announcement. Peace and greetings. The Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America, Incorporated, number 13, the Moorish American National Republic, requires from everyone desiring to proclaim their Moorish American nationality to fill out and complete an application for Moorish American citizenship and 3 course registration forms for each of the Moorish Law and History courses, which I'll explain later. Many people question, why do we have to fill out paperwork and submit copies of our personal documents? This is the reason. We must know who you are, your background, previous affiliations, work history, physical abilities, education, skills, training, etc. First of all, these documents do not belong to you. They belong to the federal government. For you must remember that in their jurisdiction, you are an artificial corporation under civil rights and granted privileges. Secondly, we require these documents because once you are a free national Moorish American citizen, your file will be in the Moorish National Bureau of Vital Statistics, which is set up for each natural person. These Moorish documents that you'll be receiving at the time of your naturalization are prepared from these documents. The most important page in the application is the self-audit page. This allows you to make sure you know the appropriate attire to wear during naturalization and are submitting the required documents, fees, and photos. The documents must be clear-colored copies for clarity and authenticity. The photos must be passport size. We use the photos for your nationality and ID card. Please have your national and religious headdress on and write your name on the back of the photos. The application process is reviewed each week. Because applications are received in the National Registrar's Office, either with incomplete applications, no photos, or no documents. If a question on the application does not apply to you, place N/A, not applicable. This lets us know that you did read the question, but did not omit it. We must read and follow instructions and learn to ask questions if we do not comprehend what is being said. The second part of the process is enrolling into the Moorish School of Law and History by registering for the 3 courses with the following completed forms. 1. A Warning from the Prophet class form. 2. Be It Known class form. 3. Nationality and ID card class form. 4. Course rules and agreement form. Visit our website, www.moorishamericannationalrepublic.com, and download the application and registration form. These forms will have the full instructions, requirements, and prerequisites for the classes. Also, mail with your application an updated copy of your resume. You're not paying for your nationality. Your nationality is free of charge. You are paying for the cost of enrolling in the Moorish School of Law and History, just as one pays tuition when enrolling into a college or a university. The costs are also directed to the application processes of the preparation of your documents, as you'll receive these once you've completed the courses. It takes finances to raise a nation, and it takes finances to maintain and operate an educational forum. This concludes the administrative announcement. By way of the Moorish School of Law and History, I return the floor to the moderator. Islam and peace.
Islam. And thank you for that administrative announcement, Sister Carla Green Ill. Appreciate you much, beloved. Islam. Our next administrative announcement will be coming by way of our good brother Michael Simpson Ill Jr. with our warning. Islam there, beloved brother. You can press star star and you have the floor.
Islam, that good brother Sanders Bay. Can you hear me?
Islam, my good brother Michael Simpson L. Jr. I can hear you loud and clear. Your vibrations is strong and clear. Trusting all is well with you and the family, and you have the floor.
All is truly well with me and the family, and all is truly well with you and the family.
Indeed, giving thanks, beloved. You have the floor.
You got it, beloved. Much honor and gratitude. Thank you much. Brother Michael Simpson L. Jr., calling out of Wayne County, Michigan Republic. First, I'd like to rise to my highest heights, giving all perfect praise to our Mother, Father, God, Allah, to all our ancestors, spoken and unspoken, naming and honoring all true and divine prophets, Jesus, Muhammed, Buddha, and Confucius, and our last prophet in these days and times, our illustrious Hebrew prophet, our great Redeemer, noble Jew Allah, in his first, second, and third form. I also like to extend those honors to our headquarters in Baltimore, Maryland, Temple number 13, our National Grand Sheikh, Joe Bratton Bay, to all our national officials, sheiks, sheikesses, deputy sheiks, and deputy sheikesses, and to all our family, friends, guests, citizens, and to our illustrious future, our children, I greet you all with Islam. This administrative announcement is coming by way of our Sergeant at Arms Administration. Warning, if any persons, groups, or companies claiming to represent the Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America, Incorporated, number 13, the Moorish American National Republic, in any way offer to sell you such things as the application for Moorish American citizenship, naturalization paperwork, nationalization paperwork, trust documents with the Moorish American National Republic's logos, passports, diplomatic appointments, diplomatic papers, diplomatic motor vehicle license plates, driver's licenses, titles of nobility, doctorates or other educational titles, business banking licenses, tax shelters, tax identification cards, or the likeness of any of these, please contact the Moorish National Bureau of Investigation at area code 410-501-7301. I repeat, area code 410-501-7301. Immediately, violators will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. The members in the grand body of the Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America, Incorporated, number 13, the Moorish American National Republic are not sovereign citizens, nor Moorish nationals. The Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America, Incorporated, number 13, the Moorish American National Republic is not, I repeat, is not a sovereign citizens movement. This administrative announcement comes by way of our Solicitor General, National Grand Sheikh, Joe Bratton Bay. And that concludes the reading of this administrative announcement. Islam, that good brother Sanders Bay, the floor is yours. Islam?
Islam. And thank you for that administrative announcement, our good brother Michael Simpson L. Jr. Appreciate you much, beloved. Our next administrative announcement will be coming by way of our Deputy Sheikess, Alyssa Thomas Bay, with our caveat emptor. Islam there, beloved. You can press star, star, and you have the floor.
Islam, brother, all is well?
Islam, Deputy Sheikess, Alyssa Thomas Bay. All is truly well. Trusting all is well with you and the family. It's good to hear your vibrations, and you have the floor.
Giving thanks, brother. Islam, this is Deputy Sheikess Alyssa Thomas Bay. First, I'd like to rise. I give all perfect praises to Allah, all of the divine prophets, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Confucius. Our prophet in these days and time, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, our National Grand Sheikh Joe Bratton Bay, all of our national officials, all of our sheikh, sheikesses, deputy sheiks, deputy sheikesses, members, citizens, students, and guests. I greet you all with Islam. Notice to the public, let the buyer beware. Caveat emptor, Moors are men upright, independent, and fearless, who care for their loved ones and follow the prophet to a destiny which is not uncertain nor unknown. They are fortified by the impregnable doctrine built upon love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
It is therefore folly at its greatest heights for smelly culprits with their insidious plans to invade such realm. They try, but their own bad planning brings our wrath upon their head like the sword old dinosaurs had. Intrigue and scurrilous cunnings find a difficult path to travel within the ranks of the Moors. This is so because the Moorish movement has been well planned by Prophet Noble Jorlis, whose latent powers are abundant, unknown, and may be called into action as a matter of defense at any moment. Prophet Noble Jorlis knows the people within his ranks who are interested. They are vanguard of the movement. As Moorish hordes increase here in America, all of the Moors are active, not passive. A member's interest can only be in one direction and have her travel over the road years before the prophet knows where every member is along the road. A few feet below is another road where schemers walk, where traders grin and culprits bask in the sun. They think they're on the same road with the true Moors, but the Moors are high above on the pinnacle, where they might view the destructionists as they fall for the last time and their bones bleach in the sultry midday sun. Hungry scavengers flying high catch scent, devour, and leave crying out, caveat emptor, cast out the dead carcass. The Moors high above see these plotters, pervious, the worst that exists, hurl themselves downward by their own works as the hawks await. By Prophet Noble Jew Ali. The Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America, Inc. Number 13, Moorish American National Republic advises the public with the words written by Prophet Noble Jew Ali. The caveat emptor article message is the same today in 2021 as when written in 1928. We have been contacted by various natural persons who have sent funds to individuals and organizations. Said funds paying for various documents. Said individuals and organizations have no affiliation with the Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America, Inc. Number 13, Moorish American National Republic. Be herein advised, the Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America, Inc. Number 13, Moorish American National Republic, does not sell documents of any type. Again, we do not sell documents. Again, be herein notified that said individuals and organizations have no affiliation with our organization, the Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America, Inc. Number 13, Moorish American National Republic. Some of said organizations have mirrored names which read closely to ours. Therefore, pay close attention to whom it is you are sending your funds, as the Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America, Inc. Number 13, Moorish American National Republic carries no liability for funds sent to these individuals and organizations. There may be others, yet the term about to list have repeatedly been cited by those natural persons as the parties to whom funds were sent under guise of sending said funds to our organization. RV Bay Publications, the Moorish Divine and National Movement of the World, the Moorish American National Republic. We will update this list as necessary. Trustee the public and advise, let the buyer beware. That concludes my announcement. I return the floor to the moderator, Islam and peace.
Islam. And thank you for that administrative announcement. Our Deputy Sheikess, Alyssa Thomas Bay. Appreciate you much, beloved. Our next administrative announcements will be coming by way of our good sister Norma Solomon Ill with our National Holy Night call and our Sisters Auxiliary call. Islam there, beloved sister. You can press ***, and you have the floor.
Islam.
Islam, Sister Norma Solomon Ill, sounding very clear and loud and clear. Trusting all is well within the family, and you have the floor.
Islam, praise Allah. Brother, all is truly well on this end with me and mine. Grateful and joyous that all is well with you and yours, and all is well with all the readers before me. Islam. Islam to the family. This is Sister Norma Solomon Eel, calling out of the Bronx County in the New York Republic. First and foremost, I rise to my highest heights, giving all perfect praise and highest honor to Allah, the Mother, Father, God of the universe. Remaining standing, giving honors to all our ancestors, known and unknown.
recognizing Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Confucius, and our noble, illustrious Hebrew prophet in this new era of time, our prophet Noble Drew Ali, in his first, second, and third form. Remaining standing, extending high honors to our national Grand Sheikh, who is very diligent and hardworking, to all of our grand body, to all of our officials nationally and locally, to all of our sheikesses, our deputy sheikesses, to our sheiks, our deputy sheiks, to all of our citizens, students, members, children, and any guests that may be on the call this evening. I greet all in and with Islam. The first announcement is coming by way of our National Holy Night Conference Call. Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Islam or Muslims, the public is invited to join us in our National Holy Night Conference Call Friday evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you live in an area without a temple or you are unable to attend your local Holy Night meeting, our National Holy Night Conference Call is here for you. We invite the public and all members to join our National Holy Night Conference Call at 443-961-4434 every Friday as we celebrate the closing of one creation and the opening of the next. Come give thanks to your creatress, creator, and exercise your five senses, celebrating and commemorating the divine unity of Holy Night. 443-961-4434 every Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. See you at Holy Night meeting. Our next administrative announcement is coming by way of our sister auxiliary, Islam. The Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America, Inc., number 13, the Moorish American National Republic is delighted to announce our upcoming conference call dedicated to the uplift of Moabitist members of this divine and national movement under the leadership of our National Grand Sheikh, Joe Bratton Bey, and the nobles of our grand body. Our conference call's purpose is to create a network system amongst our feminine energy, showcasing the array of talents we, the sisters in this body, have to offer. We are calling on every sister in our organization to heed this call, partake in this uplifting act, and be an active spoke in the wheel of this Moorish Republic. Come and familiarize yourself with your sisters and reap the benefits of membership of this national body that is committed to bring about the positive change necessary to facilitate the uplifting of fallen humanity. We encourage our sisters to get involved and support this demonstration. The Moorish American National Republic Sisters Auxiliary is requesting the help and support of all our brothers and sisters to donate to our fundraising, Life Pen, and Tag Day celebration demonstrations. Show pride in your movement and support the Sister Auxiliary as we assist in the uplifting of fallen humanity by donating $1 for a Life Pen, $3 for a tag, and $5 for a magnet. All three are designed to inspire, unite, and encourage dialogue about this great movement and our illustrious Hebrew prophet, Noble Drew Ali. This Moorish regalia can be viewed on our website, www.MoorishAmericanNationalRepublic.com. simply go to the Resources tab and click on the Sister Auxiliary option. If interested in joining a Sister Auxiliary or any member wishing to order regalia, please send an email to sisterauxiliary13@gmail.com. That's SISTERAUXILIRY13@gmail.com. Please make note of your request in the subject line, whether it is membership, life pins, tags, or magnets. Please give your contact information, including your email, address, and phone number. Our next meeting will be held this upcoming Thursday, February the 25th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Once again, thank you all for your support. Islam and peace. Brother Cornelius Sanders Bay, the floor is yours. Islam.
Islam. And thank you for those administrative announcements. Our good sister Norma Solomon Ill. Appreciate you much, beloved. At this time, if there's any announcements from any of our national officials, you can press star, and you have the floor.
Islam.
Islam, that sounds like Sheikh Lawrence Young Bay.
Islam, oh, Islam. How are you and the family?
Islam, all is truly well. Trusting all is well with you and the family as well. Always a pleasure to hear your vibration, and you have the floor.
Thank you, Mo. Thank you very much. I'm Sheikh Lawrence Young Bay, National Treasurer, Divine Minister of the North Carolina Republic. First, I rise giving all perfect praise to Allah and to our ancestors. Some we know of, some we don't. To all our true and divine prophets. Jesus, just to name a few. SubhanAllah, just to name a few. Jesus, Muhammed, Buddha, and Confucius. And the last prophet in these days and times, our Redeemer, our illustrious Hebrew prophet, noble Jew Ali, in the first form, second form, and the third form. I extend my honors to the forerunner for noble Jew Ali, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and to our national Grand Sheikh Joel Brackenbay, to sheikhs, sheikesses, deputy sheikesses, brothers and sisters, parents and students in our Sunday school, and everyone on the call. I greet you all with Islam. This administrative announcement is to the members. When mailing your dues, please mail your dues card with a photocopy of your dues card, and make 2 copies. Keep 1 copy home for your record. Include the month and year you are paying your dues for. Also, in the top right-hand corner, you see the letters DON, date of naturalization. Write that in the right-hand corner. If there's a line there, write it on the line. If there's no line there, still write up there your date of your naturalization. Also, if you change your address, please indicate so with a note when you mail your dues card. This is so we can update and mark your records correctly. This concludes my administrative announcement for the Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America, Incorporated, number 13, Moorish American National Republic. I give it back in the hands of my good brother Cornelius Sanders Bay. Thank you for the time, brother. Peace.
Islam. And thank you for that administrative announcement, Sheikh Lawrence Young Bay, our Divine Minister and National Treasurer. Appreciate you much, beloved.
Islam. Thank you, Mo. Appreciate you too.
Islam. At this time, if there's any announcements from any of our national officials, you can press star, and you have the floor. Islam. Well, we don't have any more announcements from our national officials, so we can get down to the business. All right. We have a total of 46 lines on the call. We'd like to thank you all for your presence and your energies, because you could have been anywhere this evening and you were here with us. And we definitely appreciate your presence and your energies. And now we're going to get into these thought-provoking questions, get some dialogue going. We got some very, very controversial questions on the floor this evening. So we definitely want to get it. We want to get it all out there. All right. We'll start with the first question on the floor for this evening. The first question reads, what is meant by the term actual freedom? What must be done to obtain the benefits of said statement? Islam, you can press ***, state your name and where you're calling from. The questionnaire wants to know what is meant by the term actual freedom. What must be done to obtain the benefits of said statement? Islam, you can press ***, state your name and where you're calling from. Islam, that sounds like Deputy Chief Musher Bey. You have the floor.
Bismillah, Rahman Rahim. Ever rise and seek refuge from their curse. And bring perfect praises to Allah, Mother, Father, God of the universe, and honoring all his true and divine prophets, known, unknown, and reincarnated. And to name a few that we know, Yashua, Muhammed, Buddha, Confucius, and to illustrious Hebrew prophet in these days and time, Prophet Obitualai. Taking time to honor our national Grand Sheikh, who we appreciate love, and knowing he appreciates loves us. Give thanks. I don't know our officials in Baltimore and other republics, our sheikhs, sheikesses, deputy sheikesses and sheikhs, our family, children, guests on the call, all Muslims all over the world. Shout out to Marcus Messiah, God the forerunner, and to the Einstein spirit that guides us through these turbulent times. Greeting all in love with Islam. Islam was first I gave the definition for actual, as actual is the thesis of the question. Coming from Black's Law, 5th edition, actual, real, existing presently in act. So stop there for a second and revert our memory to our Act 6 and our divine constitution and bylaws. It's the process of going through a naturalization by the government in which we live, continuing having a valid objective existence as opposed to that which is merely theoretical or possible, opposed to potential, possible, virtual, theoretical, hypothetical, or nominal. Something real in opposition to constructive or speculative. Something existing in act. And it is used as a legal term in contradiction to virtual or constructive as a possession or occupation. Islam. So as stated, actual is something tangible, real, and as I stated, Act 6 states with us all members must proclaim their nationality, and we, Moorish American National Republic, are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they must know that they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, as we were classified and identified in the past, and know that we are not negroes, colorful black people, Ethiopian, because those attempted and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained noble July, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. So, to be beneficial in the society that we live, we must be recognized as true citizens of these United States of America. And that is the Republican form of government, the Union of the States. With that said, we return the floor to the moderator, Islam and the
Islam. And thank you for that beautiful demonstration and getting the ball started and getting us rolling. Deputy Sheikh Mashir Bey, appreciate you much, beloved. Islam. At this time, if there's anyone who has any questions, comments, concerns, or anyone that would like to add on to what has already been stated, the floor is now open. You can press star, state your name and where you're calling from. Our good brother, Deputy Sheikh Makal Mushir Bey, gave us a nice start with the definition of the term actual. So the questionnaire wants to know what is meant by the term actual freedom. What must be done to obtain the benefits of said statement? Islam, you can press star, state your name and where you're calling from. Definitely good key, actual freedom. So what is freedom? We know that freedom is not under the legal constraint of another. So actual being real, not under the legal constraint of another. So what is meant by the term actual freedom? So if I would say if a person has to ask the question, what's the term actual freedom, then they must know that we have to know that what has been done to us and the position we in is not actual freedom. So the only way to obtain that freedom is through our master degree, Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they must know that they are part and parcel of this said government. So we gotta know, but it's a start. When you ask a question like this, it's a start. Islam, we have a total of 48 lines on the call. I know some brothers and sisters going to add on and help our good brother Deputy Sheikh Makal Mushir Bey out. Islam, what is meant by the term actual freedom? What must be done to attain the benefits of said statement? Islam? And constitutionally speaking, we also know, which is included in the first 7 articles of the Constitution, we have Article 1, Section 8, Clause 4, to establish a uniform rule of naturalization. So when our prophet's saying in Act 6, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality. In science, that's naturalization. Islam?
Islam?
Islam, no, brother Michael Simpson, L. Jr., I'll bring you on. I'll bring Deputy Sheikh on after you. Islam?
Islam. Thank you much, good brother Sanders Bay.
You have the floor.
Thank you much. Brother Michael Simpson L. Jr., calling out of Wayne County, Michigan Republic. Want to rise to my highest heights, all perfect praises to Allah. and to our illustrious Hebrew prophet, Noble Drew Ali, in his first, second, and third form. So, since we're dealing with the law, I'm going to go into the lawful definition of actual, and that's coming out of the Black's Laws Dictionary, page 53. Actual, real, substantial, existing presently in an act, having a valid objective existence, as opposed to that which is merely theoretically or possible, opposed to potential, possible, virtual, conceivable, theoretical, hypothetical, or neomal. Something real in opposition to constructive or speculative, something existing in an act. So now, in reading that definition, we all know that to have something actual, it must be substantiated by law. So an actual freedom, for you to be actually free, what law is it that frees you? We must know what the laws are. And here in this grand body, we definitely know what those laws are. So we got the 4 proclamations of Abraham Lincoln and the 13th Amendment with 20 sections. So that substantiates our freedom right there. And as you just stated, good brother, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 4, you must have a uniform rule of naturalization. So that is the process to you obtaining your actual freedom, because you must come back until the organic constitution take the oath of amity and reconstruction to come back to the said government. The said government, which the prophet states is before. So when he redeemed us all back, that is the organic constitution which we must come back under to have actual freedom. So these are the laws that substantiate us as Moorish Americans, and they are clear and they are exact. And with that, in my statement right there, Islam and peace.
Islam. And thank you for that beautiful demonstration and add-on, Brother Michael Simpson L. Jr. Appreciate you much, beloved. Islam. Islam. Sounds like Brother Hearns ill.
Islam. All is well with you, good brother Cornelius Sanders Bay?
All is truly well. It's a pleasure to hear your vibration. You have the floor, good brother.
Thank you, good brother. This is Brother Hearns ill calling out of the Washington State Republic, rising to my highest of heights, giving all perfect praise to our great Mother, Father, God of the universe, known as Allah. I'd like to remain standing and extend those honors to all true and divine prophets, naming Jesus, Muhammed, Buddha, Confucius, and our last illustrious Hebrew prophet in these days and times, Noble Drew Ali, in his first, second, and third form. I'd like to remain standing and extend those honors to our National Grand Sheikh, Joe Braden Bey, our great National Grand Sheikh, Joe Braden Bey, all of our national officials, our sheikhs, our sheikh assess, our deputy sheikhs, our deputy sheikh assess, and all the brothers and sisters on this public call tonight. I greet you all with Islam. My good brother Michael Simpson L. Jr. and Deputy Sheikh Mikhail Mashur Bey, they did an excellent job of breaking down the laws as they were laid out by Abraham Lincoln. And when our prophet came on the scene and did what he did, and that's what bankrupted the United States in 1929, breaking the third bankruptcy, and the United States came up with a fraudulent system, bringing into it and making all the nations come in order with the United States corporate system. So we know that we're not corporate citizens. So with that being said, they pretty much niggerized the whole United States. So what we have to do is, we were born in the several states, or the republic states. So what we have to do, with all that those brothers just said, we have to be recognized as state citizens. So once we become state citizens and not under this mantra of this fictitious beast called the United States, which is not even a government, it's a corporation, this corporate commercial system, once we come out of this corporate commercial system, claim our state citizenship and be in line with our Hebrew prophet, so we can be recognized by the nations of the earth. And this demon can get off our back once we are identified as state republic citizens. So once you do that, then you get all the rights that you have that have been afforded to us. So we must come back into our state citizenship. We must get our paperwork to show that we are state citizens and we are naturalized, and that takes care of our national side. So that's what we need to do. So I believe the question is what was meant by our actual freedom? And there are various ways to get those freedoms. The Prophet and Abraham Lincoln, what they gave us our national rights back. But these demons came in afterwards and niggerized everybody. So what we need to do is make sure that we're recognized as state citizens, and you are a state republic citizen because you have a birth certificate in every state. So you need to get that birth certificate and recognize and let the federal government, the state government know that you are a state citizen. And with that, I put a period behind my statement, and I yield the floor to you, good brother Cornelius Sanders Bay. Islam.
Islam. And thank you for that beautiful demonstration and add on, Brother Hearns Ill. Appreciate you much, beloved.
Islam?
Islam. That sounds like Deputy Sheikh Roy Bay.
Yes, sir. Indeed it is, my good brother. First, I want to rise to my highest heights and give all perfect praise to Allah, the great God of the universe, who is almighty, eternal, and incomprehensible, the universal governor of this world seen and worlds that are unseen. I give honors to John the Harbinger, also known to us as the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, both harbinger and forerunner to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I give honors to Jesus, Muhammed, Buddha, Confucius, all you Moors on the call. Our National Grand Sheikh, Brother Joe Bratton Bay. I extend those honors to the Prophet, the founder, and the first, second, and third form, Islam. So the statement of actual freedom is a very significant question because we talk about it a lot, but we need to expound on it so we can have a further understanding or a stronger understanding of what this term really is and how it apply, or how it should apply. You know, this organization started our actual freedom, and we've stated here before on the record that the Moorish Science Temple of America is supposed to be a rehabilitation center. Indeed, it is that, coming back into the knowledge of self, nationality, birthrights, restored to us 1913 A.D., Newark, New Jersey, Essex County, by the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And all the brothers who give commentary is excellent. And I want to say this here. The Moorish Science Temple of America as a religious corporation act, in terms of how it was incorporated into this government, also became a body politic. And I want to give some historical content on that term as well, just to tie into this term actual freedom. Regarding this body politic, centuries ago there was a Greek fabulist. His name was Aesop. And Aesop told a lot of profound stories. He was like the ancient Bob Marley of his day. And he spoke sometimes in riddles. He spoke in poems. He spoke in parallels and in similes, and he conveyed powerful messages in his day. And for those of you who are familiar with some of hip-hop, and I know we all are, Nas had a song. He said, "The Buddha monk in your trunk, turn your bass up." Nas stories by Aesop. Aesop broke it down, and he spoke about a body politic. And this particular body politic, it was the mouth, the hands, the arms, the feet. And they was very envious and angry at the belly. because it seemed as if though that the arms, the feet, the mouth did all the work, but the belly got all the benefits. And they started to protest the belly until they realized protesting the belly was actually depriving those other body parts of the same resources that the belly was receiving. And so they came up with the ideology that if we work together, all these body parts simultaneously, we can get the same benefits that the belly is getting. And so they begin to politic as one unit, hence the term body politic. And actual freedom has to start. Well, it starts in many places, but one of the significant places where it should have its origin is the uniform mindset that none of us are going to make it if all of us don't make it. And so there has to be a cultural cohesiveness of us coming together under a common purpose, seeking to fulfill a unified objective, which is actual freedom. So we know that we need nationality. We need our birthrights. We need these things restored in the society, both legally and lawfully, so that we can function under the laws that are set to help us permeate this actual freedom. We know that the prophet talks about us being a part of this said government. So we know that government is very important in dealing with freedom, not being under the constraint of others, as you just stated, Brother Cornelius Sanders Bay. And so government, the term government and body politic is synonymous with one another. And so knowledge is important. Government is important. All these things are very important working toward our actual freedom. And, I think we've made some good strides in understanding what these principles are all about. And we are definitely on the right course and on the right path. But it's just that some of the terms that we use, some of the terms the prophet used, some of the terms that are written in law, we just need to further expound upon them, because once we can extend our understanding, then we can better apply ourselves to the principle to reap the benefits. All of us are striving for the same actual freedom. We want the boots of the Gestapo Blue Romans here in North America or anywhere in the world where they are found and where we are found. We want the boots of them up off our necks. And so we know certain things must be done. And so when Grand Sheik Richardson Dingle, when he was commissioned to do what he did, and it was established, the Moorish National Bureau of Vital Statistics and the Moorish School of Law and History, we're teaching our own people. We're counting our own people and our own census. These are the extensions of what is called gubernacular, which is the Latin term for government. And so we have right here in the palm of our hands everything that it takes to save a nation. We just have to expound upon it to strengthen it so it's more robust and understand that we are most definitely on the path to that. We still got some hills to climb because they're still laying traps and obstacles. But nonetheless, brothers and sisters, be ye not dismayed. We have came a heck of a far journey to travel, and we've made a lot of progress toward this actual freedom. And so just hold fast to the gospel plow, because in a few more days, this actual freedom will be complete. So, all of us who are speaking now are learning these fundamental principles of what it means to be free. And we ain't but so far away from the finish line. Islam, I yield the floor.
Islam. And thank you for that beautiful demonstration and add-on, Deputy Sheik Roy Bay. Appreciate you much, beloved. All right. We're going to be moving on to our second question on the floor tonight. And it's a very, 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 very controversial question that definitely needs a lot of attention. So without further ado, I'll bring it to the floor. Our second question reads, are there any records that can confirm the ratification of the 13th Amendment with 20 sections or the eligibility for those born in the United States of America Republic to naturalize through the laws due to their former condition as chattel property? Islam? Star.
Islam.
Islam, that sounds like
Islam.
Deputy Alyssa Thomas Bay. You have the floor.
Islam, brother, give me thanks. Islam, this is Deputy Alyssa Thomas Bay. First, I'd like to give all perfect praises to Allah, all of the divine prophets, Jesus, Muhammed, Buddha, and Confucius, our prophets in these days and time, Prophet Noble Ali, our National Grand Sheikh Joe Bratton Bay, all of our national officials, all of our sheikesses, deputy sheikesses, members, citizens, students, and guests. I greet you all with Islam. Yes, it is a very excellent question that was put on the floor. And I'm going to answer the question from experience. And the National Grand Sheikh will be able to come on later on and, put his spoke on the wheel and kind of explain it. So the way I'm going to answer the question from experience is yes, you can find the information in the Library of Congress. When Subordinate Temple in New York was up and running, I remember clearly our National Grand Sheikh gave that Grand Sheikh and some of the Sheiks specific instructions from T to T on how they are to retrieve the document, where they had to go, what exactly they had to ask for. And they were able to retrieve the document. Not only did they retrieve the document, the copies we received were certified from the Library of Congress, and the members also got copies of the documents. And because you brought this up, I'm going to dig real hard to find out where I put them, because I put them up somewhere safe and between some books, so I'm going to look afterwards. But yes, you can retrieve the documents. And I will say this. I remember, and I can only speak from experience, and I will go look for the documents after the call. I remember the document date had December 18th, 1865, and that might be a big discrepancy on why people might not be able to find it if they're looking for it or be confused. So maybe the National Grand Sheikh will be able to come on and give more information, but I can only tell you what I saw with my own eyes. And what we saw, the documents is real, they're actual, they're factual, and our National Grand Sheikh walked our temple through the process of retrieving them. And I know he'll be able to explain that when he comes on. And like I said, it was certified from the Library of Congress, the copies that were received. So that's just what I want to say. And with that, I'll say Islam and peace.
Islam. And thank you for coming on and getting the ball started. Definitely appreciate when our sisters come on and demonstrate, giving us that balance, because, we need to hear from our sisters too, Definitely appreciate you much, Deputy Sheikh Alyssa Thomas Bay. Islam. Islam. I heard two Islams. I'll bring you. I see you, Deputy Sheikh Cook Bay. I'm gonna bring you on right after Deputy Sheikh Roy Bay. Islam.
Brother Cornelius Bay, that's a large question. Read it to me just one more time. I don't know if I can answer all of it, but just give it to me one more time, please.
Islam. Are there any records that can confirm the ratification of the 13th Amendment with 20 sections, or the eligibility for those born in the United States of America Republic to naturalize through the laws due to their former condition as chattel property?
All right, cool. Islam. All right, well, first of all, I'll start off by saying that in terms of records, every so-called black man, woman, and child, we know for an actual fact that our history, since we've been dealing in contact with the pale-skinned nations of Europe, has been concealed, buried, erased, and even burnt. So we should not be fools to think that what we're talking in this particular grand body as a conversation piece is not relevant to reality, because we know for an actual fact there's a great many of things that took place during slavery, post 1865, and are still taking place now that we are learning about. We've had a lot of brothers and sisters over the years who spoke on a lot of things and brought good information out. I had a conversation just last year with Brother Taj Tariq Bey, and he told me that no one was speaking about the 13th Amendment with 20 sections until he started talking about it in 1985. But we know he's about 40 plus years late, because Grand Sheik Richardson Dingley was the first to legally resurrect this information at a time when most of our people were ignorant then, and we are still ignorant now, you know. So we have to look at the fact, not just what we're talking about, but as Deputy Sheik Alyssa Thomas Bey just stated, and as many of us know in this particular grand body, that the information has already been recorded. It's housed in some of the greatest archive institutions here in the United States of America, but they're not going to just put it out in your face. You have to go and learn these things and then learn how to apply them. That's how this thing works. And yes, there is a uniform rule, Article 1, Section 8, I believe it's Clause 4, that talks about naturalization. Even the so-called de facto 14th Amendment speaks about naturalization regarding our place as so-called citizens under that law that was never lawfully ratified. So everywhere you look, in terms of our place and status as citizens, naturalization is always a key factor. And you don't have to really just listen to what we're saying. If you want to go along with what took place in 1868, the terms are there as well, you know. So you just have to look for the information. And as it's been said for the longest, you know, you don't want to listen to Grand Sheik Richardson Dingley, National Grand Sheik Bratton Bay, and the brothers and sisters here. Okay, cool. So-called white man said, you want to hide it from a so-called nigger, just put it in the book. And that's going on till this very day, because we know for a fact the second the so-called great white father steps out there and confirms this information, we're going to have more brothers and sisters on these calls and trying to join this particular organization than what one can possibly imagine. But they're looking for confirmation coming from the pale-skinned nations of Europe before they, you know, get involved with this process over here. So the information is authentic, it's legit, and all we have to do is continue to learn about it, learn how to apply it, and just watch it work. And it's already been confirmed in so many different ways. I'm not going to get into all the details. I'm going to let our National Grand Sheik, when he come on, he would demonstrate, you know, furthermore. And, you know, the truth has been buried, and truth crushed to the earth will rise again. And it has been rising since Sheik John Givens L., the second form commissioned Grand Sheik Richardson Dingle L., to go and create that system of change. And from that day to now, the truth is on the rise. So, you know, just open up your conscious third eye, you know, open up your spiritual mind, and just be on the receiving end of this information, and not so much the end of just trying to be an opponent to what we're talking about here. You know, listen with an open mind and a closed mouth, and what you are looking for will come. Islam, I yield the floor.
Islam. And thank you for that beautiful demonstration and add-on, Deputy Sheik Roy Bey. You giving thanks, beloved. All right, Deputy Sheik Cook Bey, you have the floor, and then I see Sheik Orton Bey, and then we'll do it in that order. At this time, you have the floor, Deputy Sheik Cook Bey.
Islam. Can I be heard?
Islam, you can be heard loud and clear. You have the floor.
Thanks, my brother. Appreciate that. Appreciate love. All blessings to the family as well. This is Brother Cook Bey, Deputy Sheik, calling the Florida Republic. I'd to first rise to my highest heights and give all praise to Allah, the One, Mother, Father, God of the infinite, boundless universe. Giving all honors to all our ancient ancestors, seen and unseen, known and unknown. giving all honors to all true and divine prophets, mainly Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Confucius. Also, I'd like to extend those honors to the Harbinger, Marcus, Messiah, Garvey, and also continue to extend those honors to our last prophet in these days and times, the most honorable, noble prophet, Noble Jew Ali, the first, second, and third form, the green one, the Kemetan Adept out of the order of Melchizedek. Giving honors to our national Grand Sheikh, Joe Bratton Bey, mighty mentor and father figure, and his staff, executive, legislative, judicial, all the staff in Baltimore, Maryland, national headquarters, all sheikhs and sheiks, deputy sheikhesses and sheiks, all children, guests, spectators, all brothers and sisters on the call, Islam. Brother Sanders Bay, can you repeat that question one more time, please?
Indeed. Are there any records that can confirm the ratification of the 13th Amendment with 20 sections or the eligibility for those born in the United States of America Republic to naturalize through the laws due to their former condition as chattel property? Islam?
Islam, thank you so much, my brother. All right, that's a very powerful question, and I want to first give honors to Deputy Sheikh Mr. Thomas Bey and Deputy Sheikh Roy Bey for even starting the spokes, being spokes in the wheel. And I'll go ahead and be another spoke so we can continue rolling. I remember in the past, the National Grand Sheikh, well, all the time he gives us mighty jewels and references to look up, you know, to research and to take heed. And there was one book called The Great Conspiracy by John A. Logan. And John A. Logan basically was one of Lincoln's close generals. And I was able to get a copy of the book, The Great Conspiracy, one of the originals from 1886. Old book, pages all yellow and tore up, but still in great condition to the years. It's been still around. But I want to read from the chapter, Freedom at Last Assured, starting from page 613. This is a little insert, because I also seen the question that they said on page 87 that they couldn't see the ratification of the November 18, 1865, that they couldn't find it. Well, this might be able to clear up some confusion. We have to also remember, once again, it was a great conspiracy. We were not supposed to know or even find out about what took place, what was made law, and what President Lincoln did for us on the physical level. And I'm going to start from page 613. It says, substantially, the great job is ended, quotes Lincoln, adding among other things that the occasion was once fit for congratulations. Said he, I cannot but congratulate all present, myself, the country, and the whole world upon this great moral victory. This ends the job. And speaking about the passing of the 1320 in the House, January 31st, 1865. Substantially, the job was ended. There was little doubt after such a send-off by the President and by Congress in view of the character of the state legislatures, as well as the temper of the people, that the requisite number of states would be secured to ratify the 13th Amendment. Already on the 1st of February, that is to say, on the very day of this popular demonstration at the Executive Mansion, the President's own state, Illinois, had ratified it. And this circumstance added to the satisfaction and happiness which beamed from and almost made beautiful his homely face. Other states quickly followed. Maryland on February 1st and 3rd, Rhode Island and Michigan on February 2nd, New York February 2nd and 3rd, West Virginia February 3rd, Maine and Kansas February 7th, Massachusetts and Pennsylvania February the 8th, Virginia February the 9th, Ohio, Missouri February 10th, Nevada and Indiana February 16th, Louisiana February 17th, Minnesota February 8th and 23rd, Wisconsin March 1st, Vermont March 9th, Tennessee April 5th and 7th, Arkansas April 20th, Connecticut May 5th, New Hampshire July 1st, South Carolina November 13th, Alabama December 2nd, North Carolina December 4th, Georgia December 9th, Oregon December 11th, California December 20th, and Florida December 28th. And this all was in the year 1865, with New Jersey closely following on January 23rd and Iowa January 24th, 1866. Now, this is where it gets deep. Long and spelling E-R-E, meaning before time. So long before time, this last date, speaking of the last one, the last date that confirmed the 1320, which is January 24th, 1866, state of Iowa, or Iowa State Republic. Long this last date, however, the Secretary of State, Mr. Seward, had been able to and did announce November 18th, 1865, the ratification of the amendment by the requisite number of states, and certified that the same had become, to all intents and purposes, valid as a part of the Constitution of the United States. Not until then was the job absolutely ended. But as has been already mentioned, it was at the time Mr. Lincoln spoke as good as ended. It was a foregone conclusion that the great end for which he and so many other great and good men of the Republic had for so many years been earnestly striving would be an accomplished fact. They had not failed, they had stood firm. The victory which he had predicted 6 years before had come. Let me repeat that one more time. Long of this last date, however, the Secretary of State, Mr. Seward, had been able to and did announce November 18th, 1865, the ratification of the amendment by the requisite number of states, and certified that the same had become, to all intents and purposes, valid as a part of the Constitution of the United States. Now we know that it's not gonna be an easy find to Google it or find these dates or these confirmations, due to the fact it was a great conspiracy. It was all swept under the rug. So even in this law book, The Great Conspiracy, if anyone can get the older versions, they have the laws and they have the accomplishments and what was manifested in these old books, these old law books. And as far as eligibility, we can go into certain portions of the proclamations, starting from September, the initial Emancipation Proclamation, the foundation of them all, in the second paragraph. It is my purpose upon the next meeting with Congress to again recommend the adoption of a practical measure tendering pecuniary aid to the free acceptance or rejection of all slave states, so called. The people whereof may not then be in rebellion against the United States, and which states may then have voluntarily adopted or thereafter may voluntarily adopt immediate or gradual abolishment of slavery within their respective limits, and that the effort to colonize persons of African descent with their consent upon this continent or elsewhere, with the previously obtained consent of the government existing there, will be continued. Now, we have to remember, we were all still in a state of rebellion. So we were all in a state of committing treason against the national government during that time. So this was one of the acts that was letting us know that those who was to put down the weapons and join the great force of overcoming these national casualties and war that was placed upon us to regain freedom. And then we see again in the Oath of Amnesty and Reconstruction, going from this portion here. It says, I, Abraham Lincoln, President of the United States, do proclaim, declare, and make known to all persons who have directly or by implication. Let me stop right there, implication. Now, implication, if we look up the word implication, because we have to understand the words that we speak. This is implication is the action or state of being involved in something. Were we not involved, either on each, whether which side of the war we were on, the south or the north, were we not involved by force or by voluntary manifestation? So it says, make known to all persons who have directly or by implication participated in existing rebellion, except as hereinafter accepted, that a full pardon is hereby granted to them, and each of them with restoration of all rights of property, except as to slaves and in property cases where rights of third parties shall have intervened, and upon the condition that every such person shall take and subscribe an oath, and thenceforth keep and maintain the said oath inviolate, in which oath shall be registered for permanent preservation, and shall be the tenor and effect following to wit. And it goes into the oath. Now going back to the one of the prophet, 6th paragraph, he said, I need support from all true American citizens of the United States of America to help me save my people who have fallen from the constitutional laws of this government. So if we fell, that means at one time we did stand within the constitutional fold, which is true. Then we go and see the Hebrew law, March 31st, 1864, where they correlate and show you that there was only but one remaining law to bring us back into the fold. And that was through the Levitical code, the Hebrew code. And Grand Sheik always quotes that it runs the entire world, the entire universe, but it's codified. It shows that by those foreigners who are either, I'm just paraphrasing, wards of the state or voluntary or booties of war, that through these laws, they can get back into the constitutional fold and regain the rights as true citizens. So that's another law that confirms eligibility of us going through the naturalization process, connecting with the first 7 articles, which was coming out of Article 1, Section 8, Clause 4, to establish a uniform rule of naturalization. And to confirm and seal, because I know we have other brothers and sisters to speak, you have the Supreme Court case 1883-109 U.S.-3, confirming that the 14th Amendment was unconstitutional. The 13th, the 14th and 15th Amendment. The 13th is nothing but a mad scientist remake of the 1787 law that took place in Section 6. That they replaced it in the 13th. Now, here's another one. Breaking Supreme Court repeals 14th Amendment, returns U.S. to Dred Scott. This is another reference that the National Grand sent out before. And it was very hard to even find these articles because they're doing their best to take away the history because they know that we are awakening. It says Washington, D.C., and these are all those who say they are free, but they use the 14th Amendment as their confirmation of their freedom. It says Washington, D.C., in a landmark decision, the Supreme Court today declared the 14th Amendment to be unconstitutional. The immediate effect is that the precedent returns to the previously held position of Dred Scott v. Sanford, 60 U.S. 393, 1857. In writing the majority opinion, Justice Scalia confirmed that the voters, the government, and the states really didn't mean to pass and ratify the 14th Amendment, but there was no political capital, no money, to be gained by its repeal. He therefore concluded that the clear role of the court was to act in loco parentis, for the people and the government. He added that since there were no longer any slaves currently, which we know is false, held in the United States, the protections afforded by the 14th Amendment were unnecessary and simply a racial entitlement. He signaled that the Voting Rights Act would probably have to fall by the same measure as black people are no longer citizens. And to close, they had many states who did not ratify the 14th Amendment. They were forced, going back to the warning, when he said there was the southern states, the north and the south, they put them in unit, placing the southerner, which is at that time without power. This is at the time of this resolution, 1865, 28 senators were unlawfully excluded from the U.S. Senate to secure a 2/3 vote for adoption of the joint resolution proposing the 14th Amendment. And these are the 15 states who firmly oppose the 14th Amendment, namely Alabama, Louisiana, Texas, Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, Arkansas, South Carolina, Kentucky, Virginia, Delaware, Maryland, Mississippi, Ohio, New Jersey. They weren't down with the 14th Amendment because they knew what it was to bring, but they were forced in unit. But in the same 14th Amendment, it shows you that it tells you itself when you read it properly that it knows that the proclamations were true, but they were not going to pay no money. And this is 14th Amendment. This is Section 4. It says, the validity of the public debt of the United States authorized by law, including debts incurred for payment of pensions and bounties for services in suppressing insurrection or rebellion, aka the Civil War, shall not be questioned. So they're letting you know it's not going to be questioned. It's true. You know, that's a fact. But neither the United States nor any state shall assume or pay any debt or obligation incurred in aid of insurrection or rebellion against the United States, or any claim for the loss or emancipation of any slave, but all such debts, obligations, and claims shall be held illegal and void. We know that violates Amendment 5. So with that, I say Islam alike. Return the floor to the mighty moderator. Islam.
Islam, Islam, Islamism. And thank you for that beautiful demonstration and breakdown point by point. Appreciate the build. It was very much needed. And I trust that the questionnaire was able to hear it and heard it. And with that, I like to say we have a few more minutes. Sheikh Orton Bey, I'll let you come on. National Grand, right after he finishes, I'll bring you on. Islam?
Islam, Brother Sanders Bey. I yield. I stand down. Our good brother Cook Bey, he actually touched on what I was going to demonstrate coming out the Great Conspiracy book. But I'm good. My good brother, he spoke for me, so all is truly well. We can bring on National Grand. Islam?
Islam. He spoke very well for all of us. Islam. All right. Appreciate you, Sheikh. Islam. Well, my good peoples, it's we have a total of 60 lines on the call at the moment. We'd like to thank you all for your presence and your energies. But at this time, I'd like to ask everyone to mute their lines and remain muted as I introduce and bring to the floor the National Grand Sheikh of the Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America Incorporated, number 13, the Moorish American National Republic, is none other than my brother, your brother, our brother, National Grand Sheikh Joel Bratton Bey. Islam there, National Grand. You can press star. The floor is yours.
Islam. Thank you, Mo. Thank everyone for their participation. I love the questions, and I love y'all commitment and dedication to these calls to bring some understanding on what has transpired with us as a people, because it's so needed, and we're suffering big time because we don't know the laws that freed us. So with that, as always, I want to rise to my highest height, giving all my love and praise to our God Allah, who I love so dear. Yes, indeed, it's good to know you, God. I want to give honor to all of our ancestors, those that we speak of and those that we don't. There's so much a part of us, in us, and around us that they're for us, Mo. Just chime into them. Giving honor to all of the divine prophets, namely Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Confucius, and our most illustrious Hebrew prophet is none other than the Honorable Prophet Noble Dry Lee, who's our Savior as well as our Redeemer. If it wasn't for our Prophet Noble Dry Lee, where would we be as we speak? We would be surely still in the dark. He brought us back to life. He blew the holy breath on us, and here we are. I want to give honor to all of our Moorish staff and officials who I greatly appreciate, and all of our members and all of you noble brothers and sisters who's on this call this evening with us to bond with this element of truth. As I've stated on many occasions, law governs all events, the seen as well as the unseen, and this is the unseen that now it's time for us to see and know. Because if man say he knows, then he better be what he knows. Islam. Thank you all much. Well, I just want to applaud Brother Deputy Sheikh Cook Bey because he did a lot. He shortened my spiel because a lot where he was demonstrating from was what I was going to get into, and still to some degree. But I want to applaud the brother greatly And it's good, and I'm not taking anything away from anyone else who spoke with our noble sisters and brothers. But you know, a lot of times when we come on these calls, and especially when I give out records and things for you to deal with, I'm doing it for a reason to enlighten you about this history in law. Because me personally, I've been around quite a bit with a lot of officials, judges, and lawyers and whatnot. But this piece here, oh, Mo, they don't know. They didn't have a clue. I remember the prophet had told me one time, he said, son, get us a nation's lawyer. And then what that means is a lawyer with a nationality. You can't get a Negro to represent a Moor. And me and others went around, and I finally found this constitutional lawyer. Had a meeting with him out in the county, had the great conspiracy, and we talking. And the meeting was so involved, he asked, could I leave the great conspiracy so he could review certain things that I was saying? I left the book. A week later, he called and said, Mr. Bay, you can come back and retrieve your book. So when I got back to his office, he said, you know what, Mr. Bay? He said, this is a great thing. He said, I just wish you the best. He said, but, I mean, what you have is true, but I just can't get involved. And the reason why, because he took over to the other side, they would sanction him and they would disbar him if he would even thought about bringing something like this up. And that's why you can't get a true lawyer to deal with these issues, because they've taken the oath to the other side. And that's why the book is called The Great Conspiracy, because this is one of the greatest conspiracies of all time, how we've been lied to, especially about our freedom and how these laws apply to us. So just in backing on what our noble brother, Deputy Sheikh Cookbay, was talking about. And like I said, all of you all who spoke, all of you was on point. But Brother Cookbay was reading the records. You know, and so see, when you talk to folks, that's why I always recommend, if you out in the streets anywhere, you know, keep a briefcase in your car or your fare sometime, because you never know how you're going to be meeting people, and people like to see documentation as you speak, because as we know, man or woman doesn't know by being told, but when you speak and then you can present documentation that the government has confirmed, it's the easement of them of thought when they hear, and then they can see certain things. That's the tangibility. So it's always good to realize that we're all missionaries, y'all. And this is no joke. This is a very sensitive issue. That's why you can't find the information. And as our Deputy Sheikh Cookbay was saying, so you got to remember, the people control the Congress. They control the printing and everything. But nevertheless, it had to be divine intervention. And that's why the prophet had to come in. That's why Grand Sheikh Richard and Dingle, who we looked at as Noble Jali III, revealed this information to us. He gave us certain books to read. He gave me certain books specifically for me to deal with and understand. But this is real, y'all. And, you know, see, these Europeans, the Great White Father, they're not going to reveal to you this major truth, because this would destroy their whole foundation. And that's why these calls are so important for all of us, because you're not going to get this information anywhere. That's why the Moore School of Law and History is a school of higher learning, the highest school of learning, because you're learning about yourself. So we got to realize how blessed we are. So getting into the spill of things, now, just like Brother Cookbay was saying about the date, November the 18th, 1865. Now, we met with the Attorney General's office. I'm going to share this letter. And they was like everyone else, saying, oh, no, the 13th Amendment had 2 sections, and they were going to prove us wrong. Well, I mean, they was adamant. But we knew what we know. You know, you say that you think it's raining outside. We say we know it's raining outside. So we what? We wet, soaking wet. So this is soaking wet. This history of law, we soaking wet in it. So we know what it is. And we had to reveal that to them. So now, Now, this was back in 1979, so you see what kind of time we was on. The Moors wasn't on this page. And even when you get the Resurrection book, there's a page in there that says the Howard Street Temple. That's where we were located at the time in 1976. It said the Howard Street Temple was the guidance of Moorish science across the United States. So then the government has already known who we are and what we teach. I mean, we have letters from Homeland Security indicating they have our process and send it to the various departments in the agency. That's a lot of things. But see, we all have to be on the same page, and we got to bring our spokes to the wheel so we can keep this wheel going. So, dealing with the letter, now it says here, now this was August the 15th, 1979. It says, gentlemen, well, first of all, to the Moorish Science Temple. And this is the Attorney General's office here in Baltimore, Maryland. It says, gentlemen, I was happy to meet with your delegation representing the Moorish Science Temple on August the 2nd, 1979, at 301 West Preston Street in Baltimore. Obviously, you have put a great deal of effort and research into your various points, and I would like you to have the results of my preliminary research as of this date. Number one, a quick check of Maryland's annotated code, which is available in most public libraries, reveals that the term colored persons seems to have disappeared from current statutory usage altogether. However, to determine the extent to which this term is still used, I have ordered a computer search of that term, which will identify all code provisions where the term is still used. And remember, Mose, what the prophet said, that they marked us in 1779 with what? Negro, colored, black, African American, etc. So he's dealing with this particular verbiage. So anyway, then he said the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution has only 2 sections, not 20, as your group had argued. I am researching the congressional records of the 1860s to determine why and how the proposed 13th Amendment with 20 sections failed adoption. I will be in touch with you when this research is completed. So he did. August the 21st. Office of the Attorney General did Mr. Wilburn. And what we did, we said, well, we're going to enhance their research. So we sent them a letter. This is what we sent to them. Attention to Mr. William K. Wilburn, Assistant Attorney General. Dear Mr. Wilburn, many thanks for your letter of August 15, 1979. We as officers of the Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America, Incorporated, number 13, are happy to see that you have taken an interest in researching this matter. As for the first point, the word color cannot be separated from the terms Negro, Black, African American, and Ethiopian because they are synonymous and neither represents nationality or race of the human family. As for your question number 2, you mentioned that you are going to start your research from the 1860s to assist. Pardon. You're going to start your research from the 1860s. To assist you, it would be most advantageous to all parties concerned if you would research this amendment, the 13th Amendment with 20 sections, is recorded as Joint Resolution SR 16, April 8, 1864, Journal of the Senate. Also, as you propose to assist you in your research, we know that Mr. Frederick Douglass, who was the spokesman for our nation at that time, did not adhere to the policies set forth by President Abraham Lincoln and President Andrew Johnson. See attached copy 1 and 2. And what this copy is, Mose, President Lincoln as well as Johnson, we have a document called the Colored Delegation. President Johnson had called in all the so-called high elite Negroes. Frederick Douglass was the head of the group. It was called the Colored Delegation. And he told them, I have the document here, and he told the the group that he would be their Moses, that he would lead them to the promised land. Now, all this is in the document, y'all. And he said that he wanted them to do that because, see, we need to be separated. See, in all of nature, everything is separate but equal. It is. And that's why our prophet said we're not to amalgamate with these people, because we are white people. And what does that mean? White means purity, purity means God, God means ruler of the land. We the gods. Why you think in ancient time and down through history, when you're dealing with your particular nationality, everybody want to stay together? Chinese, Japanese, etc. But, you know, we have the will to choose, so we want to venture out of the circle. So while you're in this circle, all of nature is separate but equal. Man is no different. And see, to prove that we are so different, the one-drop rule. Why is it that when you see people that can pass for the pale-skinned individual, you know, with the hair, the features, etc., and they moving about because they don't want to be noted as the Asiatic, the so-called Negro or black person. But once it's noted that you have that blood, then that automatically puts you with us, even though you look like them. Dealing with the Puritans. See, we are pure. They need us, but we don't need them. So anyway, continue. So then it says, we are here to see that this mistake does not happen again. Then going back to Johnson and Lincoln, they was adamant. Johnson was so pissed with the colored delegate, he cussed them out in so many words. Because he was telling me, he said, here it is, you have a means to sustain yourself according to this policy of freedom, and you want to stay with us. And see, that's the problem with us now. We don't want to leave the great white folk. It's just like during the time when Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt. He had thousands of a mixed multitude because a lot of the Hebrews didn't want to leave Egypt because they had good positions in the government, etc. They didn't want to leave. Just like now. You know, we talk this law to the educated folks, and they think because they got degrees, they know more than you. And by you being a lesser person and you talking to them about something that they don't know, then they just can't believe it because they feel as though, well, I've got this degree from this prestigious school and I should have known this, and what you saying don't have credence. But see, they have to realize that the man that controls your habits controls you. So if he's controlling the educational system, they're not going to teach you nothing about this. Everything, I mean, just like this month, Black History Month, please, what is that? And all that they talk about is civil rights. Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, etc. So we don't have no ancient history, right? We just got, our history started with the 1860s. With the 1860s, the civil rights and things like that, the Civil War, and then everything is, they put us in a barrel, stepping on. It's like we don't even exist, and whatever we trying to do don't amount to anything. So you see how the people are. So we growing up with this mentality from the cradle to the grave, not knowing, and everything that we are doing is under his ideology. Because when you go to these schools and become educated, you being articulate like him, her, and you get a job and you want to impress and show that you are accepted because you have a degree. But the law says the Negro created with articulate speech in hands to better serve who? His master, the white man. Don't we do that when we come out of these schools? And we have great minds, people. We are masterminds. But you're not doing anything for yourself. You still want to get a job to work for him. He take your thoughts, your inventions, and put his name to it. If our people realize all the inventions on this planet comes through us, basically, can you imagine the esteem that our children would receive if they knew this truth? There's a book called The Black Inventors. And people, when you see all the things that we have done to help humanity rise, from computers to the telephone to refrigeration, whatever it may be, ink pen, soles on your shoes, ironing board, the iron, come on. We don't know none of these things that we have created. We the creators and they the imitators. Look at it. So here we are with this law. that frees us from him and her, because we separate but equal. That's how it's supposed to be. And that's why I see, check this out, y'all. Dealing with Rosewood, what was the other city that they burnt up? Black Wall Street. See, these people were jealous, and we were colonizing. And they saw how masterful we were as a people dealing with business, agriculture, whatever it may be. We succeeded and excelled, and they got jealous. Well, look at them niggas over there. They got these fine cars. They got an airport. They doing this and doing that, and we still over here. But see, you got to remember, people, the Moors ruled Europe for close to 1,000 years. It was against the law for them to even bathe. When we went into Europe, we civilized them people. They were living in the barns with the animals, the lice, and it was nasty. We had running hot water, lighted streets, all of these things. We had air conditioning too. We had ways to know how to regulate the flow of water to make it cool and things like, oh, people, there's just so much good history about us that we don't have a clue. That's why these people are fearful of us right now. They jealous. See, they are mankind. We are man. It's a difference. Look at their vibration. Why do you think the Bible said we are returning the church and Christianity back to the Europeans for their what? Earthly salvation. And we are returning to Islam for what? Our divine and earthly salvation. There's a difference. Why would he specify that? We spiritual people. We the it of all. So continuing. So now, so then we said to him, if there is need for further assistance, do not fail to contact us. So now we're going to go to their response. September 21st, 1979. Dear sirs, enclosed, please find the results of our research into whether the terms colored person or colored people present appear in the Maryland State Constitution and annotated code. Now, when they talk about the Maryland State Constitution, and check this, y'all, in the year 1864, there was a bill number 685. It's called the Emancipation in Maryland. They apply for their compensation, $10 million. They give you the steps, how all the government is supposed to utilize the process to obtain the funding. Give you the steps in the bill. Most don't know about that. But they talking about reparation. That ain't gonna never happen for black folks, even though they talking about they trying to pass a bill. Please, that's not gonna happen. They're gonna give you the politics of it, and they've been talking this reparation stuff for the last 20 years, but nothing is going down. It's giving you the verbiage to keep you quiet, keep you satisfied that maybe they're going to meet and give a proposal about it, please. So it says this. While these terms may have been used in earlier constitutional provisions and statutes, the enclosed computer printout demonstrates that these terms are not presently in use. Of the 8 times the word colored is used, you will observe that none makes reference to a racial or ethnic group. And here's the kicker. Walk with me, y'all, because here's what these people are going to say. And remember, they say they're going to prove us wrong, right? So it says, also, after researching the question at some length, we have been unable to determine exactly why, how, or when the proposed 13th Amendment with 20 sections was rejected by the Congress during the Civil War years. So, Mose, they said they're going to prove us wrong, just like so many people out here, like the naysayers, oh, the 13th Amendment, not no 20 sections. And I asked the naysayers, I say, well, okay, you don't know nothing about the 20 sections. So we can attest that we was in the Civil War, became free, we fought for it. So what's the law that freed us? They still don't know the intricate components of what the law is. Even if they want to talk about the 13th Amendment with 2 sections, still don't know how it applies. They just going to what somebody telling them. So they couldn't determine when, why, and how it was rejected, but they said it's going to prove us wrong. So how come they didn't come with the vote count when it was entered, the yeas and the nays? How come they didn't come with that? Because, people, the 1320 passed. So we're going to get into it. Then they said, if you have further questions on this point, please contact the Department of Legislative Reference in Annapolis, and gave the phone number. Well, see, back in 1976, we petitioned the Congress. It's in the black, the Negro, the Moor. We petitioned the Congress, according to the First Amendment, for a regress of our grievance. And we petitioned the Congress for the implementation of the 1320 and our family names in the congressional record, y'all, to show you where we've been. That's why the news media put us at the top of the Moorish movement, because we're dealing with national business. The problem is that the movements are both what? Divine and national. Can't do one without the other. If you have religious freedom according to the First Amendment, that's the First Amendment, your religious freedom. So you got to have a law to enforce it. So when we had the 13th Amendment with 20 sections, Section 1 to tie you back into the Free National Constitution, which is a part of your first 7 articles, what the prophet talk about the Free National Constitution, which is the organic one. So the first section of the 1320 enforces the First Amendment. Because now it says we have the right. Finally now, after all these years, we have a right now to worship the God of the dictates of our own consciousness. Can't we see the importance of what this law represents? We didn't have our own consciousness back then. We were still up under the slave master yoke. If he was a Christian, all his slaves were put in the church, forced to be Christians. Put the image of the pale-skinned Jesus in your face, long hair. And then they're going to say, well, to be a Christian, then they give you the spill about ham. You curse, please. They set us up. They flim-flammed it. They spooked us. They duped us out. Hoodwinked us. So now it's time for us not to be the flim-flam no more. We're going to be the flam-flipper. We coming back. All due to the Honorable Prophet Noble Drali, because nobody else out there brought you your nationality and birthright. Not a soul. I don't care what group, committee you in, wherever. They didn't bring you your flag, your charter, none of that. But you want to veer away from the prophet. But there's a God who loves his people. See, when the prophet broke the Roman seal, he brought all this in too. Because we was never to know. That's why it had to be divine intervention, people. The ordinary man could have never done this. Never. They had this thing so well hidden. I've been in meeting with these folks, man, and set them down on what I know. They respect that. I'm telling you, the God had them true. Because we was never to know. Our prophet broke their seal. Broke the seal. So here we come with this law that also involves now. Truly. So now, check this out. Let's deal with this 13th Amendment. Now, we have to remember that they debated the slavery issue, right? Now, I've said this many times. But that's all right. You have to be redundant. A lot of people say, oh, you talk about the same thing over and over. Yeah, sure. Because a lot of people haven't heard what this is, and a lot of you have heard and still don't understand it. You think you do, but you still don't, because you got to understand all the components of it in order for you to truly say you understand, and then you got to enforce it. That's where the fear comes in. You run your mouth about this, the Europeans say, hey, what is this? What's this? We ain't accepting none of that, and you fold right on up. They checking you out. See how strong and balanced you are, what foundation that you really are standing on. You don't even believe it yourself. You read it, but you really don't believe it. And you really don't know until you start demonstrating it. So now we had to understand on March 31st, 1864, and they debated this Hebrew law. Why the Hebrew law? Why it had to be that law? Because they know who we are. They know we the lost tribes here in the West. Jacob had 12 sons, but he had a daughter. She had a tribe, Dinah. She was a goddess, a deity, and was worshipped throughout all of the world in Asia. Read the 19th chapter of Acts. I'm going to tell you about her. But anyway, so they debated the slavery issue. And check it, they said slavery had existed under some form or other from the first period of the recorded history. It dates back even beyond the period of Abraham, the father of the faithful. Now, we the stock of Abraham. Why do you think the Bible said name some of the fathers who Jesus came from? Abraham, Boaz by Ruth, Jesse, King David, Solomon, Hezekiah, Joseph by Mary. They are the characters that are revealed globally, and we in that house. But if you don't know how to connect through nationality and descent nature, you lost. You still lost. You read the books, you read about your ancestors, but you can't connect because you don't know you. So now fast forwarding. So it says this. It says Mr. Harlan replied to the position of Mr. Salisbury that slavery is right, is a divine institution, etc., was very able and interesting. He piled up authority after authority, English as well as American, to show that there is no support of slavery, and especially of the title to services of the adult offspring of a slave at common law. I mean, this law that we under, your free national constitution, that's common law. And then it says, and after also proven by the mouth of a favored son of Virginia, that it has no legal existence by virtue of any municipal or statutory law, he declared that the only, he's emphasizing the word only, remaining law that can be cited for its support is the Levitical Code as follows. So now we got to see how this code applies to us. Well, most people don't know about the code. They don't know where to find it. Never heard of it before, even though you're educated and got degrees around the wall. You don't know nothing about this code. That Levitical code, Leviticus 25:10, thou shalt 7, 25:10, and your God, the 10, the 1. So, now remember the date, March 31st, 1864. Now this is where the naturalization comes in because it's so important. Now they talked about the children of the strangers that do sojourn among you, because we were sojourners with the Creator, unto the Creator, like unto the Creator. We were sojourners with Him. That's why the land is never to be sold, because the land belongs to the Creator. So then when it says, I remark, said he, in this connection, that the Levitical Code or the Hebrew law contains a provision for the naturalization of foreigners, whether captives of war or voluntary immigrants, and we fall into the category of captives of war. That's what we were during this period. But this is the key point. See, this is what we don't understand. By compliance with the requirements of this law, and that law is what? The laws of naturalization, the Hebrew Code, where all the laws derive from, anything pertaining to naturalization stems from the Hebrew Code. If the Creator scatters through the four corners, then our people are scattered all over the planet. I don't care what denomination of religion you are. What laws were first? What religion was first? It was always about the one God. And when it comes to our descent nature, was not Abraham Hebrew, Moses Hebrew, Jesus Muhammad, all the rest, the house. Hebrews. So if man descent nature doesn't change, who are we? That's why we say we're Hebrew Muslims, of what Moorish descent. We in the family, the royal house of the gods. Now you can connect the dots. So then we have to ask, did we ever comply with this? No, we never complied with the term naturalization. No. So they played the game with us. That's why Dred Scott had a problem when you read his case. They said, oh, Negro, you ain't going nowhere. You're not a citizen. Why? Because you was never naturalized. They didn't say nationalized. They say naturalized. That goes by people for whatever reason. So then it says, by complying with that requirement, and check what it does for you when you comply with it. It says, by complying with these requirements, naturalization, it says you become a citizen and entitled all the rights and privileges and immunities of who? The native Hebrew. No, it ain't talking about no native Indian. Native Hebrew. Listen, people. If we were the founders of civilization, we the first people on the planet. We represent the history because all the history stems from us. Out of one there's many, out of many there's one. We the one where all the many came from. We brought in the history because we were first. And we brought in the law too because we were first given it. Did not the Creator give the laws to Moses? That's why the Mosaic Code governs the planet. He went up on the mount on his religious side, divine side, come down with the laws in his hand to do what? To give order to the people. Divine and national. That's how it worked. So then they gave reference to the fact. They talk about the compensation. I'm fast forwarding. Those who claim attention to compensation for the emancipated slave to the text. See, we represent the seven. When they said that, you keep him for the 6th year, the 7th year, you set him free. Then they said these Hebrew statutes provide that the heathen may be purchased and held as slaves and their posterity after them, that under their naturalization laws, all strangers and sojourners, born and free, have the privilege of acquiring the rights of citizenship, that all Hebrews, that's why everybody got to be naturalized. And check this. See what we don't know. Being that the 14th Amendment was declared unconstitutional, they struck it out. That means everything up under it is dead. These statutes, whatever, don't have no validity because it's all about civil rights. And it's de facto. It's corporate. Everything is. Why do you think the government is shutting down right now? The White House is closed. The Vatican is closed. London is shut down. People, this is global. This is global. Whole lot going on behind the scenes. We don't have a clue. But see, there is a God. He works his spirits to whomever he chooses. So much more I can say on this subject. But we got to see. And we're going to see how this thing going to play out. But we're going to be all right. Because Allah is leading and victory is sure. That's a fact. So anyway, then it says this. At the end of the 6 years, the Hebrew slave thus demanded his liberty, which is your birthright, was not to be sent away empty. Was we not sent away empty? The owner, so far from claiming compensation from his neighbors or from the public treasury for setting him free, was bound to divide with the freeman of his own possession, to give him of his flocks, of his herds, of his grain, and of his winepress, of everything for with which the Lord Almighty had blessed the master during the years of his servitude. And then the owner was admonished that he was not to regard it as a hardship to be required to liberate the slave and to divide with him of his substance. The Almighty places the liberated slave's claim to a division of his former master's property on the eternal principles of justice. Isn't that our last principle? Justice. Are we justified to receive our justice finally? Think about it. So, I'm just saying. Now, I'm going to start there. Now, that's March 31st. Now, we're going to get into the 1320. And remember, this is March 31st, so now dealing with the 1320, we're going to see how it all plays in. All right. Where's the document at? Here. See, we got to deal with these timelines, y'all, because it's so vital that we deal with the timelines on how all of this is taking place and why I'm getting the 13 passes of it. Oh, here we go. In the year 1992, when we was meeting with the senators here, there was a senator named Helen Bentley. She's transitioned now. But this is 1992, June the 3rd to be exact. She put the 1320 back up on the floor. And then check this out. The Honorable Helen Delisa Bentley of Maryland in the House of Representatives, Wednesday, June the 3rd, 1992. Mrs. Bentley, Mr. Speaker, pursuant to a constituent. See, we are their constituents. That's why we have on our website the sample for you all to put your name. It's already written out for you. You just got to put your name and put your senator or your representative and send the proclamations to them. It says, pursuant to a constituent's request by the Moorish Science Temple, I am resubmitting remarks made by Senator Sumner, Davis, Doolittle, and Salisbury, Powell, McDougal, and Hendricks on the day of April the 9th, 1864, as a reminder of the difficulties in interpreting the Constitution. Then she brought it in. I just want to highlight that. So then let's see. Now, if it didn't pass, people, why would she bring it up? Why didn't she say, oh, no, that's not law. I can't do that. That's frivolous and don't have no credence. No, I can't do that. But she knew. Because we went with her, too. She got the information, and she was bold enough to bring it back on the floor. And then she told us this. She said, look, I'm going to do my part. I'm going to bring it back up. But y'all got your own people there. Have them move it, Mr. Bay. Have them move it. You think them negroes in the Caucasus would do anything like that? No, sir. They let it die, y'all. But y'all voting for these Negroes. Thinking they going to be a voice for you? Please. It ain't going to happen. They are controlled. Whatever the great white fathers say, they're going to do. Believe that, because they're all about making that money, living out in the county with a 3-car garage and grinning. But you suffering. Okay, so let me see now. Let's go into this 1320. Now, this is 9 days later. Now, remember, I just read what she said. April the 9th. That's what she said. April the 9th, 1864. Now, check it. Now, remember, they was debating this March 31st, 1864. So 9 days later, people. 9 days later. We're going to deal with this 13th Amendment with 20 sections. I'm going to give you the stats of where you can find all this information, being that the brother asked this question. Now, check it. This is April the 8th, 1864. It says, pending debate. Now, y'all got to walk with me if y'all understand Robert Rules of Order, which they use in meetings to keep order. That's where they're going with this, because certain language is referencing the order. It says, pending debate. The president announced that the morning hour had expired and called up for consideration the unfinished business of the Senate of yesterday. And the Senate resumed the consideration of the joint resolution, and the 1320 was a joint resolution. The bill number is S16. There's our 7 again. So you got to research it according to the joint resolution S16. You just can't say, where's the 1320? You ain't going to get it that way. So I'm giving you the bullet point. Then it says, proposing amendments to the Constitution of the United States. And on the question, now we did with the Robert Rules, now on the question, will the Senate concur in the amendment made to the joint resolution in committee of the whole? Y'all need to find out what a committee of the whole does and what is a joint resolution and what is the question, so you can get clarity on what's taking place here, the process. So then it says this. On motion by Mr. Salisbury. Now remember, this was 9 days after the Hebrew Code demonstration. It says on motion by Mr. Salisbury to amend the amendment made in committee of the whole. Now remember, committee of the whole? Now check it. By striking out the words, Article 13, Section 1, which says this, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude except as a punishment for a crime, whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or at any place subject to their jurisdiction. Now we go to Section 2 of the 13th Amendment with 2 sections, which you see on the books. Section 2, Congress shall have the power, and check this, y'all, Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. You got to find out just what is appropriate legislation. And then check this out. See, they played the game with this article when it says Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. You know, you don't need this. You know why? Because when you go to the first section of Article 1, it says all legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in the Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and House of Representatives. So why are they coming with this one? Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. And then it says, inserting thereof, the following, inserting thereof. So that they've taken out the 13th Amendment with 2 sections, and they are inserting thereof now the 20 sections. Then they got Article 13, then they got all the sections, down to the 20. And what is so significant about when you go to Section 19 to prove that this is the law that freed us, because it makes reference to the word abolishment, and it makes reference to the word freedom. Did you hear me say anything about abolishment or freedom in the Section 1 of the 13th Amendment with 2 sections? Come on, people. So when you read Section 19, it says, when all of the several states shall have abolished slavery. Now, we got to remember, the Emancipation Proclamation just freed us in the southern states. It didn't free us nationally, just in the southern states. That's why they had to have this amendment to enforce the proclamations nationally. So then it says, when all of the several states shall have abolished slavery. So when did that happen? November the 18th, 1865. The Deputy Chief Cookbay just read it from the Great Conspiracy. That's why it's in the book, The Great Conspiracy. But these people are so shrewd people. If you try to get a Great Conspiracy currently, they have taken out the 1320, that portion. They've taken it out. You don't see that. So I tell people that the whole book is great. It's a lot of Masonic stuff in the back. But I tell people there's mainly about 6 chapters or so that you can key in on to cut through the chase. You got retrospective slavery. You have freedom at last assured. Freedom proclaimed to all. 13th Amendment in the Senate. The compensated emancipation. And then you have turning back the hands. Check it. If you have the earlier diction of the Great Conspiracy. That's why they call it a great conspiracy. Look up the word conspiracy so you can get a better definition of what it is and why the conspiracy
Islam.
is still going on.
Islam, pardon self. I hate to interrupt. This is Brother Tariq Ali. I'm the one who wrote the email.
Okay.
And I dropped that information. Let me, just real quick, you did go to the record, Islam, on that, but that's not a complete record.
Okay. It's
what he's doing, Mr. Salisbury, is he's suggesting. So he made a motion to amend. And the motion was to replace the 2 sections with the 20 sections. If you continue further in that record, on April 11th, 1864, they meet back and vote on it. And it was determined in the negative.
Okay, hold
on. Then it says on the question, because they got the yays and nays too. 36 yays, 6 nays. And that was that was to determine that the 2 sections would pass.
No, my brother.
Let me read it.
Well, I have it here too. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Okay. This is page 313 in the Journal of the State, dated April 11th, 1864.
Okay. All right.
It was determined in the negative.
Okay.
On the question to concur in the amendment made in the Committee of the Whole, it was determined in the affirmative. The one with the Committee in the Whole was what you read initially on April 8th. So the 13th Amendment with 2 sections is what was confirmed and ordered in the Senate.
Well,
it even named the congresspersons who voted yay and voted nay. Excuse me.
Absolutely.
So it never passed the Senate.
Oh yes. Well, anyway,
so
I'm not going to debate this with you, my brother, because I'm going to tell you this.
It's the same record, National Grand. You just stopped on Article 19.
Well, I haven't finished. I wasn't finished.
I'm saying in that same record, though.
Okay,
so
record. You saying on the same record? Okay, so then what was the vote count then, Mo? 38
to 6
for the Senate, right?
Yes.
And that so you saying that bill passed? You talking about the 13-2 passed the Senate 38 to 6?
That's what it says.
Well, let me say this to you, my good brother. Have you been talking to judges and lawyers and constitutional lawyers and things like that? I mean, officials in the military and things like that. Have you been around with folks?
I have.
Talking this?
Yes.
You have?
On multiple occasions. As a matter of fact, This is what sustains the 13th Amendment with the 2 sections right now.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this one then, my good brother. Well, why would the Supreme Court declare it unconstitutional in 1883? Why would they do that?
Those cases what was declared unconstitutional wasn't this. It was the Civil Rights Act of 1875 that was declared unconstitutional in 1883.
Brother,
that decision revolved around. I'm sorry, good brother. I wasn't trying to interrupt. I was just trying to finish.
Go ahead. Well, I know about these 5 civil rights cases of 1875 because they finally made their decision in 1883.
Well, that's what it was referring to. Not it wasn't referring to the 13th Amendment. That's all I was saying.
Well, let me say this to you. Did you read what they concurred that it was unconstitutional? Did you read what it said?
It said that it wasn't applicable, the 13th Amendment, under one of the cases because one of the brothers was trying to say that it put him back into servitude when he was denied service at, I believe it was a theater. He went to the theater and of course the European didn't let him come in, and so he said they was violating his rights, but he used the 13th Amendment. And that's what they was arguing. That's what the court said. No, the 13th Amendment doesn't cover that.
Well, I don't know what record you using. I mean, reading, but the one I could see, the one that I have, you can't find for whatever reason. But the one I have said that the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment were declared unconstitutional, and they struck it out. Do you understand what I'm saying? Then hold it. Then check this out. Hold it now. If your evidence is so current and absolute, then how come the Attorney General office didn't come back with the vote count of what you talked when they said they were what's wrong?
The Attorney General's office just used. I'm sorry, I wouldn't turn it up.
And then they wait, hold it, brother, hold it.
It's a delay. I'm sorry.
Then let me ask you this. if you say the 13th Amendment was the one that they ratified and freed us, then tell me how come there's no verbiage saying that you're free in it? So where's
Because it was
that you're free in it?
okay. The 13th Amendment was only abolishing slavery. The Civil Rights Act of 1866.
You're not answering my question. You're not answering my question, my good brother. I asked you if you, like you said, the 13th Amendment was the one they passed. Then how come you don't see you're saying that you're free or that slavery has been abolished? How come you don't see it?
It says that in Section 1 of the 13th Amendment.
Where does it say that
it says
has been abolished? Where does it say that?
Right on that same record you were reading, Article 13, Section 1, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude except as a punishment for crime whereof the parties have been duly convicted shall exist.
My good
so
brother,
it's saying slavery doesn't exist.
Free, that just says neither slavery. Does it say you being free?
If you're being held in bondage by slavery and then slavery doesn't exist by it, brother, you are free by the mechanism.
Brother.
What declared us citizens, though, you can be free and not be a citizen.
Brother, listen. There's two questions that you haven't answered. I said, well, where does the word say abolishment? So a lot of people say, well, the 13th Amendment abolished slavery. Where does it say that?
It was never intended to say free. It was intended to abolish slavery. And it was forcing the
how come it don't say that slavery has been abolished? I mean, that's
it says it
to me.
It says it in the first section. National Grant. I just read it.
You done,
when it says
brother, brother, you giving me your verbiage. I haven't seen it. And all these
it's on the record you just read.
For all these years, all of them have concurred because they just want to know how we found this out. And then you coming in here saying that this and that. Okay, now let me say this to you.
I'm just reading what the record says.
Well, I'm reading the record too, my good brother. I'm not arguing with you because I don't have to. I don't have to argue with you. So
you're right, because the record.
My question to you right now. So you saying the 13th Amendment is the one that you're going to use to indicate that you are free under? Is that what you're saying to me?
No.
Well, then what?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
What law are you
saying? The 13th Amendment with 20 sections was not ratified. That's all I'm saying. And what was
it? Was ratified. Okay, now check this out. Check this out, my good brother. Check this out. Have you ever read the Jack Lee's case dealing with the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments? Have you ever read that case?
What's the name of the case? I've read several cases. Which case are you referring to?
All right, okay. This is the only Moorish case, and I have other documents to support what I'm saying, about this law. About this law, I have other documents, believe that they done signed off. I don't care if you went to the State Department, the military, everybody done signed off on it, but yet you saying it's not so. But you can have your opinion. But then when I ask you about what law frees you, and you can't give me a good concrete answer about the law that frees you. You said it's the 13th Amendment with 2 sections, right?
No, well, I said that the 13th Amendment abolished slavery and that the 13th Amendment with 2 sections was not ratified because it didn't pass.
Answer my question. If you said the 13th Amendment abolished slavery, which is the 13th Amendment with 2 sections.
I'm trying to answer the question. They keep muting me every time I try to answer the question.
Listen,
the law that declared the citizens was passed in 1866.
Listen, my good brother. When National Grant is speaking, let them finish speaking, and then you speak. And if you keep if you keep over talking them, then you will get muted. Just let him finish speaking, and then when he's finished speaking, then you answer. Islam?
If I can answer the question, that'd be fine, Islam. He asked me twice, and he was saying that I wasn't answering the question because every time I start talking, y'all start muting.
Well, okay, go ahead and answer your question. Hey, Mo, don't mute him. Let him go ahead and have this flow. Let him have his flow.
I'm just answering the question, National Grand. You said the law that set us free. I said there's no law that says you're necessarily free. What I'm saying, what gave us citizenship and is recognized is the Civil Rights Act of 1866.
Okay, brother.
And what abolished slavery was the 13th Amendment, Section 1. And there's the 1320 didn't pass the Senate. Those are the 3 things that I was saying. Islam.
Okay, well, Mo, I mean, you can have your opinion, really, you can. And see, whatever research you've done today, you got to remember it has been a conspiracy. I mean, just like they tell us that we black on paper, right? And we co-sign, that don't mean that it's so, right? But wherever you go, you're going to see this black or this African American. Does that mean that is so? Just because you see it on paper? You got to remember there's many conspiracy, my good brother. They're not going to let you know this stuff. Now, when I asked you about what law of freedom, you said it was the 13th Amendment with 2 sections freed you, but it don't say it. So, but now check this out. If you go to section 19 of the 1320, then it says that when all of the several states have abolished slavery, then and they have the slavery, listen, slavery or involuntary servitude except as a punishment for a crime shall never, now check this out, they say shall never be established or tolerated in any states or territories of the United States, and they shall be forever free. But you don't want this, right? You don't want this verbiage. Okay, this is cut and dry. It's telling you that you're free. It's telling you that slavery has been abolished. And they even give you the spill that if you tamper with that phrase, involuntary servitude, they saying that it shall never be established or tolerated, but you don't want this language. You saying the 13.2 is where you want to go. Okay, well, you can go there. Nothing's stopping you from using that, and then you're going to say the 1866, right? Okay. Well, you can go all there, all that you want, because that's you. That's you. But see how far you get with that. That's what I'm going to tell you. See how far you get with that. So now check it. Check this out, my brother. You know, it's sad that how we want to go along with the fluff. I call it fluff. Because now if you going according to this 13th Amendment that's on the books, and the law is saying, like I said, I should have brought the information where I could read to you that 1880, and see, there was 2 or 3 other cases to validate what I'm saying about that 14th Amendment, 13th Amendment. But anyway, see the document that I had, the 1883 decision, they've taken out the part that I have. Most people that I know that have gotten that document, the portion I had, they don't have. Isn't that strange? They don't have it. And I wish, if I had the time to go up to my other room and get it so I can read it to you. It's been a conspiracy, bro. These people now going to reveal to you this type of information, especially with this. Now, check this out. Now, you said it was the 13.2 that passed, not the 20. So let me ask you this. Does the 13th Amendment enforce the Emancipation Proclamation?
Islam, Matt.
Does?
Question? In part.
You say in part.
In part.
Okay, how does the 13th Amendment with 2 sections enforce the Emancipation Proclamation?
It abolishes slavery.
Well, you don't see that word abolishment in the 13th Amendment with 2 sections, my brother, but it is in the 1320. So what's going on with that? Why should it be in one amendment and not the other?
The terms are the slave says when it says that it shall not exist, it's saying the same thing.
Oh, brother, you can't assume. Look, this is law we talking about. You got to be very pointed in law. You can't assume nothing. And if, in fact, that amendment did freedom, then it's going to say that. That word freedom got to be there. You can't assume nothing. And abolishment have to be there. See, a lot of people say, oh, the 13th Amendment abolished slavery. I say, well, show me where the word abolishment is. But it is in the section 19 of 1320. But when I ask you, does it enforce the proclamations, you said it does in part. And you said because it says, what? What did you say?
It shall not exist.
No, I'm saying, dealing with the proclamations, where and how do you connect this 13th Amendment with 2 sections with the Emancipation Proclamation?
Because it abolished, the Emancipation Proclamation freed the slaves, took them out of slavery.
Brother.
This also removes slavery as an existence, as an institution.
Brother, when you said the Emancipation Proclamation, you said it freed the slaves, right?
Some of them, not all of them. I'm speaking generally.
Okay,
yeah, that's what the term emancipation means.
Oh, okay, all right.
The proclamation. So that's the context in which I'm speaking. The other portions of the proclamations were put into the Civil Rights Act of 1866.
Oh, okay.
Other portions came later, but were repealed.
Is the Civil Rights Act a part of the? Okay, the Civil Rights Act is pertaining to what law, Mo?
The Freedmen Bureau Act of 1865 that Lincoln signed on the 3rd of March.
Brother,
it's an extension of that.
No, brother. The Freedmen's Bureau was set up according to the 1320 and the Emancipation Proclamation, my good brother, because there were certain bills. Do you have the bills that reference all of that? Do you have the bills pertaining to the Freedmen's Bureau Act?
Yes.
You do?
I heard, and it was actually signed by Lincoln.
Name me one. Name me one of the bills.
What do you mean? It itself is an act.
Brother,
it's by the Congress.
I'm asking you to name me a bill, just one bill.
That came from it. You mean that came from it? I don't understand the question. You said name a bill that came from the Freedmen's Act.
You made reference to the Freedmen's Bureau Act. I said, do you have the bills to validate what you're saying? So give me a bill. Now you said that.
I can point to an example. The establishment of HBCUs was done.
I ain't asked you for an example. I asked you for the bill.
That's what it is. Do you want the number?
That's what I asked you for.
An act to establish a bureau.
Bureau Act.
On Monday, the 5th day, December 1864, is when it was written. President Lincoln signed it on March 3rd.
He signed what on March 3rd?
1865.
He signed
what? The law to create the bureau.
Okay, well that's fine.
The bureau is the extension of the law.
You need to read the bills that it entailed, my good brother. Do you have the bills?
It's only 5 acts. It's only 5 sections.
Look, I asked you, give me the bill.
The bill was not. A bill comes when a person submits it through Congress.
You know what?
Not when Congress creates it itself. Congress doesn't submit a bill to it.
My demonstration, because I can see this will be going on all night. But let me ask you this. Let me give you this case. The only Moorish case has been adjudicated in our behalf that the federal courts have confirmed. Then check this out. Because, see, you giving me conjecture. I'm giving you facts. And like I said, all these people, if the military signed off on it, Homeland Security signed off on it, the State Department signed off on it, but you said it's not so. And something wrong somewhere. Because I guess all these federal agencies believe in what you're saying, but yet they're going to put their seals behind what I'm saying. There's something wrong with the picture. So, this particular case, and I want you to try to find it. Now, I just said to you that the senator put the 1320 back up on the floor. How come she didn't put the 132 up on the floor? That's one thing. Then let me give you this case, and I want you to find it. Now, this case, the motion says that the case number is Y-76083. It's a federal case. And the case is in the United States District Court for the District of Maryland, United States of America versus Jack Lee. Now, this is the motion, my brother. This brother was a lawyer. He was a legal mind for a drug ring here. They had wiretapped the group. They had indicted all of them. His son was in our organization and came to us and gave us the spill about his dad. So we said, okay, he had to join us. We need a mouthpiece. So he did. Now check this out. I'm going to read that. Well, first of all, I'm going to give you the motion. Let me give you the motion. It says, motion to dismiss. Now, he should have been disbarred, and he should have gotten 30 years. The group that he was a part of, they got 30 years. They went to jail. But when he was with the group, it was a collective motion. It was at first, because see, they changed venues. At first it was in the United States District Court for the District of Maryland. And then it was just the United States versus Jerry McCrae Laws et al. He was part of that et al. But when he learned this policy and he severed himself from the group. Let me read you this. Let me read the letter that he sent to his lawyer. It's going to help you. It's going to help you. Now, he's a lawyer. You're not a lawyer. Then Chase says, Mr. David Mitchell, Esquire. He's a judge, man, this guy David Mitchell. He's a judge. You know, they gave the address of the firm. Then it says, Dear David, after watching the legal charades in federal court today, I came to a decision which, believe me, did not come easily. As you should know, we've been subjected to a double standard of existence all of our lives. I have only to ask you one question to bring this truth home to you. Have you ever been called or heard of the expression nigger lawyer? When I was admitted to the Bar of Maryland, I was denied membership in the Bar Association of Baltimore City because I was a Negro. I never forgot this, and it made me realize that I and my kind were forever to be treated differently. I say all of this to you because you're younger than I, and maybe your subjection to the double standard has been less manifest. Things of this nature have become more subtle, yet I believe you know what I'm talking about. You see the positions Negroes have achieved, and so you say you can get through. And I agree that you can get through. But don't forget that getting through can most definitely be equated with compromise. The point of this letter is to say to you that I don't feel that you can adequately represent me at this trial at this time. This is indeed not to challenge your competency. On the contrary, I've heard that you are a most capable lawyer. However, what the people mean who say this is that you are a good Negro, colored, or black lawyer, and our trial will be conducted by the standards set up for Negroes, coloreds, and blacks. We must insist upon the same justice afforded to the so-called whites. I want you to continue in this case if you have understood everything I have said so far. If you cannot continue in this case, I will understand. If you continue, I would first like for you to file a motion Thursday morning challenging the jurisdiction of this court to try me. This will be based on the United States Constitution, Amendment 13, with 20 sections. If you need clarification on the above, the Sheiks of the Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America, Incorporated, number 13, will provide the same. Second, I would like Grand Sheik Reynoldsville to sit with us at the council table and assist us with my position. Third, I would like the court to address me as Jack Lees Bay Sr. Fourth, I will be wearing my affairs in court at all times. As for your compensation for representing me, I have told you that I will pay you what is fair as soon as I can muster it. At least I am acknowledging that compensation is due you. This is more than the 13th Amendment with 2 sections, and the 14th Amendment to the Constitution acknowledges to the former slaveholders not in rebellion against the Union and to the emancipated slaves. Then it says, we will be in your office tomorrow at the appointed time, and I hope that your spirit will allow us to discuss this matter further. Most sincerely yours, and he signed off. And check it. Now you heard me say the 1320, he's the lawyer and all of that, right? So then he did a severance. He said in the United States District Court for the District of Maryland, United States versus Jerry McCray Lyles et al. Order, criminal number Y76083, the court having learned that the defendant Jack Lees no longer desires to retain David Mitchell Esquire as counsel in his behalf, it is this 6th day of May 1976 ordered that the defendant Jack Lees be and be hereby severed from the trial of this case beginning May the 3rd, 1976. Joseph H. Young, United States District Federal Judge. And check this out. So now they changed venues, my brother. They went from the corporate United States to the common law court, the free national Constitution side. Because now it's what? It's the United States of America versus Jack Lee. You see the venue has changed? Then it says motion to dismiss. Now come Jack Lee's by Leslie Gladstone court reporting court, and hereby moves this honorable court to dismiss criminal Y-76083 for the reason states. The 13th, the 14th, and 15th Amendments to the Constitution were never properly ratified and do not reflect the provisions of the original 13th Amendment with 20 sections. Wherefore, Jack Lee's praised this honorable court dismissed the criminal Y-76-083 and declare the rights of Moorish Americans across the country. Now you don't know nothing about this, but you want to be a 13th Amendment guy. So you see that. That's your choice. So let me continue. So now he gave his points of authority. I ain't gonna go into all of that. I ain't gonna go into it because they deep. And they made reference to the great conspiracy that our noble brother, Deputy Chief Cookbay, was demonstrating tonight. All this is part of the record. And then check it. I'm just going to excerpt some things from it. It says that this was published. The book was published in 1886. Dedicated to all young men of America. Dedication, this book, because everybody needs to read it. Yet it was Abraham Lincoln who called the attention of the nation back to the true intentions of the founding fathers, both Moorish and European. His executive will for the purpose of solving the so-called Negro-Black problem is expressed in the following documents. Number 1, the initial Emancipation Proclamation of September 22, 1862. Now, I'm going to stop right there for a moment. When I asked you, did the 13th Amendment in 2 sections enforce the Emancipation Proclamation, you said, yeah, in part, it can't never do that, my brother. Why? And I'm going to tell you briefly, because it don't reference the word freedom or slavery has been abolished. That's why I don't. And the proclamation talks about that we are forever free. So when you deal with Section 19 of the 1320, they use the same verb that we are forever free. See, and Lincoln never signed off no 13-2. They forged his name. I have his true signature, brother. Before he was president, he was called A. Lincoln. But when he became president, he was Abraham Lincoln. I got all of this history. But nevertheless, let me continue. Then it says the annual address before Congress, December the 1st, 1862. That's dealing with the compensated Emancipation Proclamation. The only way that you can find it, you got to bring in what is called the second annual address to Congress. That's where you will see it. Then I'm going to give you the stats where you can find this information for yourself. Because I know you don't know. You getting information, but your information has been corrupted, brother. They're not going to give you no truth about this. This thing is so sensitive, man. Do you realize that they took the passage of the from the House check this out, Mo. When it passed the Senate, 38-6, when it went into the House the first time, they rejected it. That's what you probably maybe you confused about. I don't know. But they rejected. But let me go into the Constitution and let you read something. See, Lincoln got him to reconsider it, and let me take you this here and help you out. And I'm not, getting down on you because you, like a whole lot of people, don't know. But you think you do, and I'm not saying I'm above you. But I know what I know, and I got proof of my truth. And if I didn't have the proof, the government surely wouldn't put their seals behind it. I know you don't have no document where the government put seals behind anything. So let me continue about Lincoln. So when you go to Article 1, Section 7, it says, every bill which shall have passed the House of Representatives and the Senate shall, before it become a law, be presented to the President of the United States. Now, let me tell you this, bro. There's no way in the world Lincoln would have signed off a 13 men with 2 seconds. No kind of way. He had to have the 20 sections to enforce the proclamation. Why? Because it deals with the compensation, deal with your citizenship. All of this stuff is in it. You see, the 13.2 was limited to just involuntary servitude. They ain't got nothing about no freedom in it. They talking about involuntary servitude. Look up the word involuntary servitude and see what it says. Have you ever looked that up? So let me continue. Then it says that if he approve, he shall sign it. But if not, he shall return it with his objections to that house in which it shall have originated. Who shall enter the objections at large on their journal and proceed to reconsider it. Now, I got all when it was reconsidered. Do you have this information? I don't know if you do or don't, but I do. Then it says, if after such reconsideration, 2/3 of that house shall agree to pass the 2/3 of that house shall agree to pass the bill, it shall be sent together with the objections to the other house, by which it shall likewise be reconsidered. And if approved by 2/3 of that house, it shall become law. So now, I got all this information when he got them to reconsider it. And so on January 31st, 1865, it went into the House and they passed it. The vote count was 119 to 56-8 not voting. He signed it off on February the 1st, 1865. And there's no way in the world he would have signed off no 13 amendment with 2 sections, my brother. No kind of way. The man was still alive. They didn't get rid of him until that April. So anyway, continuing. Then it says, if after that such reconsider 2/3 of that house shall agree to pass the bill, it shall be sent together with the objections to the other house, by which it shall likewise be reconsidered, and if approved by 2/3 of that house, it shall become a law. And it did become law. And that's the Senate passed it, went to the House the first time, they rejected it. He got them to reconsider it, they brought it back, and let me go here, where they brought it back. Let me read this to you. Okay, we deal with the. Now it says, so the House refused to lay the motion to reconsider on the table. The question then recurring on the demand for the previous question. It was second, and the main question ordered and put verse, shall the vote by which the said joint resolution was rejected be reconsidered? And it was decided in the affirmative. The vote was 112, nays 57, 13 not voting. And here we go. Going back to the House. So the motion to reconsider was agreed to. The question again, recurring on the passage of the said joint resolution. Mr. Ashley moved the previous question, which was second, and the main question ordered and put, shall the joint resolution pass? And it was decided in the affirmative. The vote was 119 to 56-8 not vote, just like I said. So now, let me check this out. Let me show how they play games. Now, I have the Constitution of the United States, and we dealing with the 13th Amendment here. Show how they play games, brother. And I don't know why anybody of us would want to reject a policy of freedom. And I say to anybody, what do you have better than this?
Islam, can I go ahead and respond? Yeah, you mentioned a couple things in there, and I was trying to wait for a moment to jump in and respond.
Go ahead.
You can't pass the Senate with more than 100 votes. There's only 100 people in the Senate. And it's 2 from each state, and that's currently. Back then, there weren't 50 states, so that's 2 resolutions coming from the same side of the House. And both of those are what came about but was declined in the Senate. The Senate, neither one of those counts was from the Senate. And in the 1320, it reinstitutes slavery south of the 36th degree latitude, 30 minutes north. It reinstitutes slavery there. Because you have to have that in order for several of these sections to be applied.
I couldn't hear you say what? You said that the 13th reintroduced slavery? Is that what you're saying?
It does, because the 3630 was taken out by the Kansas-Nebraska Act in 1854. Okay. And there's several sections in that 1320 that deal directly with the 3630. The 3630 had already been gone.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well,
that Congress did away with that in 1854. It started in 1820, and it went up until 1854. So that's why I had also mentioned the Kansas-Nebraska Act.
Okay.
Because those portions of the 13th Amendment would then become, after the 13th Amendment had been signed, those things would be in violation.
Well, okay.
You can't have slavery not exist in any state and then have it exist south of the 3630.
Well, see, the 3630 is all about the 1320, my brother. Because see, the Liberty Bell sits on the 3630, and see, that Liberty Bell is a map. It's on the 3630 here in the west, and the Pyramid of Giza sits on the 3630 in the east. So everything south of the 3630 is where we would have colonized, my good brother. So please, how in the world are you going to say that's what the 1320 was? See, that 1320 freed us nationally. The proclamation just freed us in the southern states.
I can read it specifically.
But anyway, okay. Well, like I said, I'm not going to go back and forth with you. But like I said, I'm reading a federal case. I got documents from the military. And whatever proof do you have besides what your research is? Do you have?
I got the 36.
What you're saying from any of
all I'm using is the law.
Huh? You say you did what?
All I'm using is the laws for reference. Like Section 5 of the 1320, it says persons held to service or labor for life in any state under the laws thereof may be taken into any territory of the United States south of the north latitude 36 degrees 30 minutes north, and the right to such service or labor shall not be impaired thereby, and the territorial legislature thereof shall have the exclusive right to make and shall make needful rules and regulations for the protections of such rights. And it goes on even further, but this is just talking about protecting slavery.
Brother, what law do you think they're talking about? That's
Section 5 of the 13th Amendment with 20 sections.
I have it right in front of me. I'm asking
you. Section 5.
Okay, but I'm saying, oh my God. Okay,
brother, if you put the 13th Amendment in effect, and this with the 20 sections, you're saying that persons held to labor for life in any state under the law. These are talking about slave laws.
Mo, let me say this to you. Do you know all the southern states that so-called succeeded, which they were just in rebellion, before they could come back into the Union, they had to change their constitution to reflect this policy, Mo? Did you know that?
Which would have allowed them to keep slavery.
No, my brother, no. How is it going to allow?
That's why they took those sections out.
If the law said we are forever free, it doesn't say free. It says forever free, Mo. How
they have to vote on that first. It says they have to vote on that.
Okay. Well, like I said, let me finish what I'm talking about. Because, see, my thing is, if you want to stay with the 13th Amendment with 2 sections, I mean, that's your right to do that. You do that. See how far it gets you. Because that didn't free you, my brother. That surely did not free you. But if you want to stay there, and my point to you is, we reading concrete proof that the government has confirmed. This particular federal case, the only Moorish case in the country that's been adjudicated in our behalf as Moorish citizens. Because they tell you that this is for Moorish Americans across the country. I've met with FBI officials, judges, brother, met with the penal system here and used this case. Look, if I was wrong, they would say, get out of here. This don't have no validity at all. And like I said, when I read the information from the Attorney General's office, why didn't they come back with the same verbiage that you talking about right now to prove that the 1320 failed? How come they didn't come back with it? Do you feel as though they have more greater research capabilities than both of us?
I feel like they would like to have us put ourselves into slavery.
Oh, my God. Mo, we still being held as slaves as we speak, Mo. This is the only way we going to get out of it. Do you realize that? Well, let me ask you this question. What law do we use to get out of slavery, brother?
Slavery has already not existed.
Brother, answer my question.
Since the 13th Amendment.
Answer my question.
Answer the question, bro. Answer the question.
My question. What law do we use to get out of slavery?
I'm not in the slavery of the 13th Amendment.
Well then,
I was born. I was born into this freedom.
So okay, you was born.
I'm not born into bondage.
You say what?
I may be in a type of mental slavery where I don't understand how to express or live my freedom, but that's what I was trying to learn. But that's not true that the 13th Amendment with 20 sections is setting me free.
Okay, I'm going to ask you one more thing, then I'm going to get off of this with you. What is your name?
Brother Tariq Ali.
What was your slave name?
I didn't have a slave name.
Oh, so you was born by your mother with this name that you current right now?
My given name?
Yeah.
My first and last name that I changed it from was James West.
Okay.
That was a slave holder name.
Okay. Absolutely. So now you changed your name. You changed your name, right? So
Islam.
When you changed your name, did you change your status to reflect your true name?
I did.
You did. So what is your status to your name? How did you do that?
It's white.
How did you do it?
I just had to check the box.
You checked the box. What box did you check?
To change it's a corrected form. In this state, it's a corrected form, and on the federal level with the agencies that I contract with, it was just a matter of, hey, I want to change it from this to this. They said, oh, okay.
You want to change from this to this? Okay, what was this to this? What was that?
Because I was in, it had me as black, and I said, okay, that's not correctly reflecting my heritage. I want to change it, and I showed them the definition of number federal, number 15, and all that. So they just
what? What you did? What? Show them what?
The definition, like the U.S. definition of white.
A definition of white. So what is that definition of white? What is that?
As it pertains to me, it was having original peoples from North Africa.
Okay. Well, that's right.
So with that, they just changed it. That's all I'm saying. They just changed it.
Okay, they just changed it. Okay. All right. Okay. So now
not
you got
to say that it'll be. I'm not saying that nobody else will
all that done. You got all that done. Okay, good. You got all that done, right?
Islam, and I'm not saying nobody else may, need something to back it up if they're getting some kind of resistance. I just didn't get no resistance.
Okay. All right. I mean, that's hey, brother. Look, you get the brick out the wall best way you can. But like you said, I'm still asking you the question. Then you say you're free. You say you're a citizen too, right? You're a citizen too, right?
I am.
Okay. Well, what law makes you a citizen? What law makes you the citizen?
My birthright.
You said what? Earthright?
My birthright.
Your birthright makes you a citizen. So what I'm saying to you, you still have to have a law to effectuate your birthright.
The Civil Rights Act of 1866.
The Civil Rights Act of so that's under the 14th Amendment, isn't it?
No, that's where the language for the 14th Amendment was drawn from. But the 14th Amendment wasn't passed until like 1868.
I know that. So I'm saying, if it was drawn from, then what law substantiate this 1866 demonstration?
That's the act that established the Freedmen's Bureau for our vindication and release.
What law did the Freedmen's Bureau? What law was the Freedmen's Bureau established under, my brother?
It didn't. It doesn't have to come under a law. When they create law,
all right.
That's what the legislative branch does. They can create law.
Brother, law governs everything, man. You got to have a law for everything. Everything. So you saying that the Freedmen's Bureau didn't come up under no law? Okay, fine.
It came up under the powers of Congress.
Okay, well, the powers of Congress use bills to make laws, brother.
And they made that law that declared me a citizen and equal.
Okay, all right, okay, you okay, all right, okay, you equal and you a citizen, okay, all right, okay. So the only thing you had to prove that you a citizen is you made a name change under 1866. So that proved that you're a citizen, right?
No, I made a name change under my religious rights because at that time, that's why my last name is Ali, because at the time I was a little deeper into Sunni Islam.
Okay.
So I made the change under the First Amendment.
Okay.
Right to my religion.
Okay. So therefore, the 1320 Section 1 says you have the right to worship God according to the dictates of your own consciousness now. So now you have your own conscience because you say...
No, I'm talking about Article 1, Bill of Rights.
Okay. All right. Okay.
The Bill of Rights doesn't need a law to be from one to draw from the right.
That.
So
got all of that.
That's all I'm saying.
Wait.
It wasn't for
that's
the 1320.
Say what?
I said it didn't have anything to do with Section 1 of the 1320. That Section 1 of 1320 was actually drawn from the first Bill of Rights.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Well, like I said, I mean, I wish you well. I mean, you all right? Like this, I mean, you happy the way you are? So good. Good. But let me just finish reading this case. I mean, whatever I say or read to you, it's still not going to change your thoughts. So, I mean, that's cool.
I'm open. I'm trying to write down all the information you're saying, actually, National Grant. I'm reading what is already written, so it's not a matter of my opinion. Only thing I'm going off of from there is what you're saying for the references. I'm trying to write them down.
Okay.
They have multiple cases, but I couldn't get to that case number. But I don't want to either. I also don't want to hold you up too much because I am listening to what you're saying.
Okay. Well, but let me finish this because, see, what I'm trying to get you to see, brother, I'm not a lawyer, nor are you, but this guy was a lawyer. He just passed last year, this same person. And what I'm saying to you, this case that I'm reading to you is absolute, bro. This is our whole card. Believe that. Because if this, see, when he did this, filed this motion, do you know, it said the waiver of indictment was signed. They waived the indictment. Now, it said in the checklist, it says finding of guilt previously made on 8276 is hereby stricken, and the proceedings are deferred in accordance with 21 U.S.C. Section 844B. Defendant placed on probation for a period of 1 year, pursuant to 21. 1 year. This man, they had a serious drug ring here. Now, why is that? Everybody else got 30 years, and he walked. They gave him a year's probation. They had to do something. They smacked him on the wrist, but everybody else got 30 years. He's a lawyer. He worked for the state. He was assistant state's attorney, this guy. But he walked with this. But you don't want to deal with this because you say it's this or that. So let me finish. Now let's deal with the order. I'm just going to go through the case. Then it says order of dismissal. I'm reading the order. It says pursuant to Rule 48A of the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure and by leave of the court endorsed herein, the United States Attorney for the State and District of Maryland hereby dismisses the indictment against the above captioned defendant, superseding information filed. Jervis Finney. Now, this guy, Jervis Finney, he was the chief counsel for the governor here. I met with him, too, and laid him out. Because I presented the governor, when we met with the governor, he didn't know I had this case. I popped it on. I said, "Here's your name, Jervis." I got a letter where he apologized to me. So you don't have these things. I'm not just telling you what I think, feel, believe, my brother. I'm telling you what I know. And got proof to prove it all. Him and the governor, Jervis Finney. Hey, check this out. Now, this is his probation. And I'm going to ask if you understand what this is. Okay, this is saying, come now, Francis W. Lazanza, probation officer of the court, presenting an official report upon the conduct and attitude of probationer Jack Leeds, who was placed on probation by the Honorable Judge Joseph H. Young, sitting in the court at Baltimore on the 29th day of September 1976, who fixed the period of probation supervision at 1 year and imposed the general terms and conditions of probation, therefore adopted by the court, and also imposed special conditions and terms as follows. That the defendant be placed on probation pursuant to U.S.C. Title 21, Section 844, under such terms and conditions as may be determined by the probation department, respectfully presenting petition for action of court for cause files, whereas the probation has complied with all the usual conditions of his probation, and whereas Mr. Leeds has complied with his probation officer's special instructions by significantly decreasing his personal debt, significantly increasing his personal income, and developing reality therapy skills. You ever heard of probation like that?
Islam National Grand.
Where is he, Mo?
Islam National Grand. He hung up.
Okay.
Islam.
He hung up. Okay. Okay. No problem. Well, see, I was going to give him some further information to help his research. Told him I had some, where he can, I got all this stuff in the archive where he can go into it and get the proclamation number, the stats behind it, the 1320 and all of that. But anyway, he's gone. Okay, no problem. But see, these type things you're going to incur. And people want to come, and it's just sad, but if the brother, I mean, he had the will to choose. He want to stay where he is, but like you said, he's still learning certain things, but what he don't realize has been a conspiracy. And we will never, especially find this 13th Amendment out. And believe me, if it wasn't so, why would the federal judge confirm it? The federal judge confirmed the information. The law is in it. He's not a federal judge, nor am I. The military has confirmed it. Homeland Security has confirmed it. FBI has confirmed it. State Department has confirmed it. And other agencies have confirmed it. Congress has confirmed it, but he don't want to believe. But that's okay. I'm not upset with him. I'm not upset. Because he want to believe what he wants, that's his right. But I don't, I apologize for everybody, but I wanted to hear this brother out and trusting that maybe he'll get a better inner understanding, overstanding, just stand, period. Just have the stand of law that he can truly deal with. Because evidently, what we spilling is not good for him. And that's okay. That's all right. Many be called, but few be chosen. So he changed his name. He's Islamic. And he said he was born this way and all that. Okay. Well, we're going to have all kind of folks coming our way, and that's a good thing. Because like I said, if you can produce anything better than this policy of freedom for the salvation of our people, then I would surely have to submit to you. I know they can't. They don't have all the intricate details. And like he said, he got all this information offline from somewhere. Quite naturally, he ain't going to find this truth. The man controls what's online and what's being presented. That's why they changed the verbiage in the Great Conspiracy. You don't see that 13th Amendment up in there no more. Why was that? If they're dealing with truth, why should they want to hide it? But anyway, we have too much evidence to support our truth. So, brothers and sisters, it's always my pleasure to be with you. And it's just too bad the brother couldn't stay around for me to give him all these bullet points where he could check some more to see what's real. And he said the 13th Amendment with two sections. I mean, he said the 22nd would put us in slavery again. Oh my God. Ooh, okay. All right, Moses. I'm not going to have you, wasting your time. I'm not going to say wasting your time, but being on the call this long, because we should have been gone. But nevertheless, it's good to have these conversations or this dialogue from time to time with folks, so we can just see what we're dealing with out there in the mindset of our people. So, as always, my noble brothers and sisters, loving you all. Stay true to the word, and a man is known by his words, works, and deeds. As you say the word to represent your works, and your deeds going to close it all in. But if you say the word and you don't have no works to prove, then therefore your deeds going to fall away because there's nothing there. So with that, I'm going to say Islam, 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 and my love to you always. Praise Allah for sending us our Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Thank you all much. Peace.
Islam. And thank you for summarizing our call and giving us a very, very good demonstration, as you always do. It was a rare occasion, but it was definitely needed. At the time, we still got 60 callers on the line, so everyone was definitely tuned in. The National Grand Sheik of the Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National Movement of North America Incorporated, number 13, the Moorish American National Republic, is none other than National Grand Sheik Joe Bratton Bay. We appreciate you much. I appreciate you much for all you have done, will do, and haven't done yet. Love you much, National Grand. And yes, we will be faced with all different kinds of energies, but the truth will prevail.
Islam, Mo, thank you much. And too bad your brother didn't let me explain what that reality therapy meant. But anyway, another time. All right. Thank you, Mo.
Islam.
Islam.
Well, my good peoples, we have overstayed our time, but at this time, we're going to begin to close out. But you can catch us here next week's creation, same time, same space. But at this time, we close the same way we open. Can I please have everyone who is able to stand erect, facing towards the east, heels together, toes apart, separated at a 45-degree angle? Islam?
Islam, Sabrina Wallace Palmer from the Florida Republic. May I speak before National Grand hangs up?
Islam, sister, you can call him. I'm about to close out, sis.
Okay, I'll call him directly.
Islam. Can I please have everyone who is able to stand erect, facing towards the east, heels together, toes apart, separated at a 45-degree angle, upper arms parallel to the floor, forearms perpendicular, 5 fingers erect and together on the left, and 2 fingers erect and together on the right. Allah, Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Ameen. Trusting everyone has a safe rest of the week. Keep safe, stay sane. Until next week's creation, much love and peace, peace, peace.